But it's Friday Eve.
Oh, I didn't have my mic up.
No, I said it's Friday Eve.
It's Friday Eve now. Can't do that.
What do you mean you can't do it?
Well, then, like Wednesday,
why don't overcomplicate things? Be happy. Tomorrow's Friday, and then we have bank holiday weekend and Halloween.
Yes.
And all of that.
Okay. What are we going to do next week?
Don't know. You're off and I'm off.
I know.
Let's mean you hook up together. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, we'll skip.
Do you honestly think me and you could spend the day together?
Do you drink? No, I'm only joking.
No, I can't. Not my age anymore. It's the next day.
Neither can I.
I wouldn't be too.
Yeah, of course we would. We go fishing.
I would do. I haven't gone fishing.
Kayaking.
Aye, something physical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Climb Errigal.
Yes.
Defo. But we're not doing that because I'm doing nothing next week.
You're not. No, I know.
So in case I get
Daddy Judy.
Just in case I get myself. Have you noticed the jobs lining up yet? You say I'm going to take a week off. I'm going to take a week off for a break. Monday, Tuesday is Wednesday's booked out for me already.
Yeah.
So it really leaves me Thursday or Friday.
Yeah. I have a 4-gang light switch to fix. The boiler's timer's broken. I have to change that. I'm sitting on the kitchen windowsill looking at me.
Yeah, but Claire hasn't even started yet.
I know. I was happy saying Friday Eve and all that happy talk. Now you brought me down.
Okay,
bring me up again now.
Tomorrow morning, I'm going to send you away. Just
flying
full of the joys
high.
of spring. You won't even know yourself.
Be like Westlife.
Okay.
Right, good luck.
All right, Lee Gooch back with you tomorrow morning at 6:30. It's 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A man's been killed in a road collision between an e-scooter and a van in County Sligo. It happened just after 8 o'clock last night in the townland of Rusheen, Riverstown. The man, who was aged in his 50s, was on the e-scooter when he was hit by the van. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the van, who's aged in his 30s, is being treated for minor injuries at Sligo University Hospital. Last night's death means the same number of people have been killed on Irish roads so far in 2023 than the entirety of 2022. 155 people have died in road collisions, up 36 on the same time period last year. It comes ahead of a high visibility road safety campaign for the October Day bank holiday weekend. Minister of State with special responsibilities for road safety, Jack Chambers, is urging all road users to take care.
Bank holidays, there's high levels of activity, more people out and about and on our roads, and that's obviously the natural position for people going down the country for a break or going about within their local community. So we know that there's often increased number of collisions, more fatalities and higher risks for individuals on Garda Síochána, and they're really focused this weekend on the lifesaver offences.
The attack of 2 asylum seekers in West Donegal in recent days has led to calls for government to urgently intervene. That is, to ensure that those seeking refuge in Ireland in state-provided accommodation are safe. The centre recently opened in West Donegal, with those living there physically threatened and threats made to target the property. Some local representatives have also been threatened. In the Dáil, Deputy Paul Murphy pressed Taoiseach Leo Varadkar to outline what steps are being taken to ensure the safety of people integrating into communities.
What actions are being taken to ensure that these people are kept safe, and what action is being taken to ensure that integration is taking place, that investment in the local community is taking place to ensure that people are properly integrated?
Obviously, government has a duty of care when it comes to providing safety for people in any state-funded facility, and we do take measures to try and ensure that. We have a particular fund as well to recognise local communities that have accepted international protection applicants and Ukrainian people.
For weather, today will bring sunny spells and widespread showers. Some of the showers will be heavy, and there's a chance of isolated thunderstorms in the late evening, which may cause spot flooding. Highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees in a light to moderate south to southwest wind. That's all for now. The next news update is at 10 o'clock. In the meantime, keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. From myself and the news team, good morning.
Return, refund, recycled. Ireland's deposit return scheme is coming. From the 1st of February 2024, when you buy a drink in a bottle or can with the return logo, you'll pay a small deposit. Once you're refreshed, return your empty, undamaged bottle or can to any shop or supermarket and get your deposit back. The result? Less litter, less waste, and better recycling for Ireland. For more, visit return.ie.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. It's just turning 5 minutes past 9 on this Thursday, the 26th of October 2023, and you're very welcome along to another 9 till Noon Show. Yes, it is Thursday's edition, and it's another busy one. We're going to cover a lot of big issues for you today, and we want you involved in that conversation if you want to be involved in that, of course. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. 086 60 25,000. Give us a call either on 07491 25,000. Caroline awaiting your call there, or email comments@highlandradio.com, and inviting you to watch the show if that suits you and your lifestyle and where you are. You can go onto YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, and throw us up there on your smart TV on the YouTube app, or on your Fire Stick as well. Most of you, I think, have either one of those devices at home. If you're on Facebook, we're on Highland Hub, Highland News and Sport as well. And good morning to Dolores, who's a regular watcher of the show. And Dolores is back in Letterkenny University Hospital. I think you were down there for quite some time earlier in the week. Dolores back in again, and she says things are moving fast. So hopefully they are, Dolores, and hopefully we have you out there listening to us at home in the comfort of your home really, really soon. I'm sure you'll get well looked after. OK, let's have a look at this morning's newspapers. The Tyrconnell Tribune, as Donegal politics turns to next June's local elections, Sinn Féin has already chosen their candidates for the Letterkenny and Milford area, while Fine Gael sets out on the long road to increase their membership in Lifford from the current 4 councillors. The paper understands the Fine Gael convention, due in a number of weeks, will see outgoing councillor Jimmy Kavanagh joined by another runner in the Letterkenny area. And in Milford, changes on the way. A new name for a new era may well see Cranford's Aaron Sweeney selected in a one-candidate strategy for his 3-seater, providing he accepts a nomination. Aaron's a regular on this show. Has been quite critical of Fine Gael in the past, but his tone softened somewhat in more recent appearances on the programme. Well, he could be in the running for a seat there. A secondary school teacher in Letterkenny, Sweeney, who's 26, is just starting out on his career, and he has the potential, the paper says, to be a formidable candidate. Plenty more analysis, as you'd expect, for John McAteer and the team in the paper today. The Donegal News, the handing over of ownership of 1.6 acres of land to a Letterkenny school will transform the educational lives of its pupils, the principal has said. The field has been officially signed over to Sculmurra Gone Small, a Loreto-affiliated primary school in the heart of Letterkenny, by Loreto Sisters Ireland. Discussions are underway within the school community for the future use of the field located to the side of the school going forward. The Derry News this morning, a new survey aimed at examining any potential risks to one of Derry's most iconic buildings is set to be carried out. The landmark Austin's building in the Diamond has lain vacant since the closure of the 186-year-old Austin's department store in March 2016. The future of the iconic building was discussed last week at Derry City and Strabane District Council's Austin's Task Force, which comprises the owners of the building, City Hotel Group, council officers and elected representatives. On to the Nationals now, and the row within government about how Ukrainians are housed into the future rumbles on. Government proposals to time limit the state's provision of accommodation to those fleeing the Ukraine war are problematic and impractical, refugee support groups have said. This is the Irish Times, and the reality is part of the reason for the changes, it would be hard to suggest otherwise, is to discourage the numbers of people coming here. Really. So in terms of the problems and the impracticality of it, I think the idea being that fewer would come and that would alleviate those issues. Well, in the wake of a cabinet row over the suggestions, which have been drawn up in the face of unprecedented pressure on the state system for receiving refugees and asylum seekers, Irish Refugee Council Chief Executive Nick Henderson warned against the proposals. Ethically, it's problematic, but as a policy idea, it's problematic because they don't know if it's going to be successful or not, he said. I just don't think it's practical. Where would people move on to? He asked, questioning whether people would effectively be evicted from welcome centres planned under proposals drawn up by officials. But I suppose the logic is, and this is not expressing opinion, just looking at it logically, if at the moment people are arriving here into hotel rooms which are not suitable long-term accommodation, or into tents which are not suitable long-term accommodation because there is no suitable long-term accommodation. Well, then you have to let people know that. Say, if you're coming to Ireland, this is what we can offer you for 3 months. But the reality is our housing capacity is full, and that's generally accepted. So at least it's putting the cards on the table, and there are loads of other places around Europe where people can seek safe refuge, and I presume the idea being that they may look at those options. I don't know. I can only imagine that's part of the plan. I think I saw the figure we carried yesterday. Donegal has 7,000 Ukrainian refugees out of a total of almost 100,000. So we have an awful lot in this county, which is great. Seem to be getting on very well compared to the rest of the country. Sligo, all of Sligo, half of Leitrim, and a slither of Donegal. They've got 5,000 in total, and compared to Donegal's 5,000 in total. On to the Irish Independent now, and you might remember there was a big convo that erupted for 3 or 4 days, or 2 or 3 days, about the reduction in speed limits. It's back in the papers today. In the Irish Independent, people driving on roads earmarked for reduced speed limits may feel they are driving a tractor, this according to a Sinn Féin TD. His comments came as an independent senator said drivers without insurance or under the influence of alcohol or drugs should have their cars confiscated and crushed, which I think is a bit bizarre. It's not very environmentally friendly, is it? Well, Junior Transport Minister Jack Chambers came under pressure in the Oireachtas for his plans to bring in lower speed limits by the end of the year. He wants to cut limits on local and rural roads from 80 kilometres per hour to 60, while also imposing a 30 kilometre limit in towns, cities and residential areas. Sinn Féin TD Martin Kenny told the Minister at the Oireachtas Transport Committee hearing that people would not follow laws they believe were ridiculous. If you've a road going between two towns and the first 5 kilometres is relatively straight and a good road and you set that speed limit at a low limit, people are going to say, what the hell's going on here? I feel like I'm driving a tractor. They're not going to abide by it. Mr. Chambers said a road between two towns would be up to 80 kilometres, adding that there had been no changes proposed to speed limits on those roads. And also in terms of the speed limits, they would be adaptable, dependent on. I mean, there's there are roads I think are obviously 80 kilometre roads. Going into Creasler, that road from Termon to Creasler, it's 100 in places when really it's probably not safe to be 100. It probably should be 80. I presume that's the type of changes we may be looking at. On to the Irish Daily Mail now, in it, like many of the papers, have ongoing coverage of the crisis in the Middle East. Benjamin Netanyahu warned Hamas terrorists they were doomed as he vowed to push ahead with a ground invasion of Gaza last night. Israel's Prime Minister said the battle against the gunmen who massacred civilians on October 7th was necessary to save our country, and the airstrikes on Gaza were only the beginning. But questions remain over the exact time frame after it was reported that the country was delaying the ground attack to allow the US to rush missile defences to the region. The US is going to find itself, by accident or designed, right bang in the middle of a full-blown war in the Middle East. And as Netanyahu was making those comments, there was an incursion into Gaza. No coincidence in terms of timing, but if they go in, Iran-backed, Iranian-backed Hezbollah will be watching on with interest, and other issues elsewhere, of course. The Irish Daily Star this morning: more than 250 counterfeit units of a drug used in the treatment of diabetes and for weight loss have been seized by the Health Products Regulatory Authority. And I want to mention this because in conversation with Margaret O'Doherty, the pharmacist, earlier in the week, I did mention that there is online. These drugs are available online, and they're in huge demand. And people might go, right, I need more of this. I can't get it, so I'm going to go online, and it's really, really dangerous. The HPRA said that the 254 units of fake semaglutide came in white powder vials in clear liquid form. The drug is primarily for diabetes treatment, but it's also used without recommendation as an appetite suppressant. Grania Power, HPRA Director of Compliance, said those who purchase such products online were risking their lives. So really, please be very, very careful. You could find yourself really quite sick if you were tempted to go down that route. So I'll just mention it on the off chance that one of you who may have considered it might think again. Phones are going to be banned in the classroom. The Irish Daily Mirror reports today phones will be banned in classrooms under new plans being prepared by government. Senior government ministers are keen to tackle what was referred to as the scourge of the rampant prevalence of the devices in schools. The flood of phones in schools, particularly smartphones, is having a detrimental effect on education, with teachers telling the Irish Mirror that it's destroying school life. Education Minister Norma Foley has recognised this and is working on legislation or legislative solutions to address the problem. Thomas DeMichel Martin is another strong supporter of the proposal, which will be officially brought to the Cabinet table in the coming weeks. What do you think? Would you like, as a parent, guardian, or even as someone who isn't, someone just who cares for children, do you think it's a good idea to ban phones from all classrooms? They shouldn't be in there to begin with, really, should they? You're in there to learn. You know, you couldn't go into a meeting at work and sit on your phone. You'd be chased out of the place or told to put it down, or you couldn't go into mass or church or wherever you might go to pray and sit on your phone. So why is it acceptable for children to have them in the classroom on the off chance that they take them out and have a look? It's kind of a non-brainer for me. I can't believe we need legislation to sort it out. Do you know, it's that kind of a thing, but clearly we must do. Any teachers out there, if you're off, give us an insight into the problems of phones in classrooms and why we might need legislation to ban them, why it's not already a given they shouldn't be there to begin with. The Irish Sun this morning, news publishers have called for urgent reform of defamation laws. Newspaper chiefs yesterday told TDs that the current ones hamper the proper functioning of democracy, and at a special briefing they warned of the rising prospect of so-called libel tourism due to the outdated use of juries. There were also calls at the Journalism Matters event to enact a serious harm test to bring defamation laws up to date. It's funny, I've never seen any articles about the amount of paper newspapers used to produce. Has that ever been discussed, or is it a problem or an issue? It's not something I'm, by the way, stating. It's just I've never read about it, how much paper is used, where's it sourced for the production and transportation of newspapers. I'm just really surprised it's never come up. Not that I'm saying it should, you know what I'm saying? But lots and lots of stuff is discussed. That never is. Right, 086 60 25,000. The WhatsApp and the text line is open. And if you want to send us a voice note as well for broadcast on the radio, if that suits you, for any reason, maybe it's handier for you, maybe you're better at speaking something than typing it. We want everyone to have access to the airwaves to express their views for whatever reason. So if you want to send a voice note on WhatsApp, 086 60 25,000. As I mentioned, your calls to 07491 25,000. And you can comment online as well if you're watching.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the 2022 C-Store National Off-Licence of the Year. Make your Christmas party unforgettable at Sister Sarah's this December. Book now for the best Christmas party in town. See Facebook for menu and dates. Sister Sarah's are proud sponsors of today's show.
There's only one thing as good as a TUI holiday, and that's looking forward to one. So get next summer sorted and secure your TUI holiday today. Choose beach, lakes and cruise breaks across a wide range of destinations, including Mexico direct from Dublin, plus all your favourites like holiday villages, Splash World resorts and our own TUI Blue hotels. Secure now with thousands of free child places and a low booking deposit of €25 per person. That's next summer's holiday sorted. TUI, live happy. T's and C's apply.
The Cassidys here in Bundoran used to often wonder,
is this a good time to use the dishwasher?
When they signed up to ESB Networks' Is This a Good Time programme, they learned that there's more renewable electricity available when it's windy out, which helps us all on our journey to a clean electric future.
Right, is everything in?
Go to esbnetworks.ie/time to sign up today. ESB Networks, energising your everything.
It's time to transform your smile with the help of Blue Poppy Dental, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Their expert team offer orthodontics, teeth whitening, implants and composite bonding all in-house. Start your journey by calling 074 974 0404 or easily book your own appointment online at a time that suits you through their user-friendly patient portal. Available anytime, anywhere at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics. Medical card patients welcome in our Donegal Town practice.
The Ardra Matchmaking Weekend from Friday, November 10th. A great weekend of fun in Ardra. Visit Matchmaker's Den or join in the fun and sing along in Ardra all weekend. All details on ardra.ie. That's the Ardra Matchmaking Weekend from Friday, November 10th.
Exciting news! Kia and iMotors are thrilled to introduce our stellar offers for 2024. Enjoy peace of mind with a complimentary service for the first 2 years, plus an additional 1 year if you're a Kia customer already. 1.9% finance on EV cars, 3.9% PCP, providing flexible and affordable payment options, and receive a €500 super value voucher when you purchase a Kia. These offers are designed with you in mind. Don't miss out. Visit iMotors today in Letterkenny and Malin.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Okay, the time is 20 minutes past 9 and you are very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Okay, we welcome on to the programme now Damien McDermott, Senior Engineer with Donegal National Roads Office. Good morning to you, Damien. Damien, thank you so much for taking the call today.
How are you doing, Greg? How are things?
I'm doing okay. How are you getting on?
Not so bad.
Right, we'll start straight off. We're talking about the traffic lights at the Polestar and traffic management around Letterkenny more generally. I suppose from your perspective and where we're at the moment, what would you give the new traffic management system out of 10 as it stands this morning?
Well, I suppose at the moment, you can't really judge it at the moment. Obviously, we're still in a bedding in period for us. Okay, we're a bit disappointed, particularly with the Melton Road and the queues that are forming there. But in reality, all that was done last week was setting the baseline for this. It's an evolving system. It learns as it goes along. It learns to reallocate time as it goes forward. We could perhaps have stepped in and manually adjust things, but if we do that, that puts back the overall learning of the system. So we want to be able to sort of learn itself to be able to react to queues itself. Mm-hmm. So at this stage, I think we're concerned with the Melton Road, because that's the one leg that we think is performing very poorly, and we may need to do something more radical with that leg going forward. But at the moment, I think it's too early to make a judgment call on the lights themselves. I think in general, outside those obviously key peak hours, it's working fine. People are using them pretty well now, in fairness. I was up there a couple of days myself, and in general flow, there is some concern with misuse of lanes and all that, but I think that the people are getting used to them, and they are starting to use them fairly well.
Yeah, but driver behaviour surely can't be responsible for traffic this morning up at Lagerberg School and an hour and 15-minute waits on Melton Road. That's not going to be down to motorists.
No, absolutely not, and I didn't say that.
I'm not. I never said you said it, Damien. What I'm just trying to ascertain what the cause and effect is. I'm not saying you said that. No, listen.
As I said, look, the lights themselves, obviously there's queues there anyway, but the lights themselves obviously have time to bed in, right? So as I said, last week they were being set, as in trying to get the baseline set on them. The MOVA system is kicking in now, so it should start to reallocate space a lot better. Now, we can manually step in and do that for us, but then it doesn't learn. It takes the process a lot longer for us to do. Mm-hmm. So this is part of the process of doing that. And again, I probably refer to the Ballygallifey situation, where we did have a lot of initial problems with the lights in Ballygallifey, but that has generally sorted itself out. I know you come up through there fairly regularly. It is generally, and you get moving there fairly well to it at this point in time. So it is an evolving system. I think in the next week or so we should see improvements on that. The whole point is to create an improvement. So we're not going doing this if we're not going to get an improvement. And it is a key part of the Letterkenny Traffic and Transport Plan. The signalisation of junctions is a key element of that whole plan for traffic management within Letterkenny. So, it needs to work, all right? It's very, very important to us. Obviously, can't take away from our new road. The new road is essential. When we've got 35,000 ADT being funneled down one road, it's always going to be a problem, okay? So, we won't get away from that. But at the same time, the signalisation of junctions, this one and the subsequent signalisation of other junctions, is an important element of traffic and traffic management in Letterkenny, and it needs to work, because if it doesn't work, we've nowhere else to go. It's the only other show in town with regard to manage our traffic.
Yeah, or what was there before? What was there before is also an option, but obviously one that we don't want to have on the table. In terms of the learning process, that can learn and adapt to the future, even if, say, for instance, traffic coming on the dual carriageway is approaching on one lane. Does that not disturb the flows around the Clanree roundabout, if I can call it that, and then the flow on to the 2 lanes into Letterkenny? Or is this system so intelligent it actually can account for that and ensure that it's learning correctly?
Yeah, well, no, obviously, if people are queuing sort of irregular on it, it does cause some problems, but the sensors are across both lanes, so it should be identifying that. But obviously, it'll probably be considered why people aren't using both lanes is probably why the system we're trying to work out, and that might be a difficulty for us. With
that in mind, would it not have made more sense then for the learning process to be whilst all roads were open? Either defer works on the dual carriageway.
Oh, no, sorry.
That doesn't matter?
No, the dual carriageway. No, sorry, I thought you meant the single use on the 4 lane. No, absolutely not. No, that shouldn't affect it at all. It's reading it closer to the roundabout. It's taking its sensors much closer in towards the roundabout. Okay. So that doesn't affect it whatsoever. Sorry, my apologies.
No, that's mine. That's the way I phrased the question, Damien. Yeah. And just then also as well, a lot of people are avoiding the roundabout at the moment, using back roads, not using the road system like they would have ordinarily. You know, you'd have heard a lot of reports from people that are effectively on bypass routes now. Does that affect the learning of the system in that it's learning with an altered level of traffic at normal times?
I would have to say that there's enough traffic around about anyway, so it's plenty to learn with anyway. I don't think that's going to affect it too much.
No problem.
Reality.
So it's not really the actual volume of traffic, it's just as it approaches on the near side, and a few people avoiding doesn't make any difference.
Exactly, but what you should do is if it's getting steady flows from a certain direction, for example, the metro, what you should be doing then is giving it much more green time than it would the other legs. Now, so it works fairly well when you've got maybe 1 or 2 legs that are high volume and then 2 that aren't. The 2 that aren't are going to get a lot more red time, you know, over the period, and that's what should be happening now more and more. But up to this point, it's been fairly even. With some slight alterations to those, but it means that possibly coming out of town in the morning, you're going to have a seriously long red time to allow all those coming into town to come in. And that's where you should learn as it goes forward.
Yep. And how long might that process take? Because as you would know too, people are getting really frustrated. They're avoiding the towns at certain times and going shopping elsewhere. So just so people sort of have an idea of when, at the end of the day, look, there's a certain amount of cars. The amount of cars isn't changing. It's just how that traffic is managed and how it's moved around, right? But when might people see it in its finished form, so to speak?
Well, look, the traffic experts who are on the ground are telling us, talking about, a matter of a week or so. They would hope from now, once mobile kicks in now, that we should be seeing some changes on some previous. Should be settling back to, at the very least, the way it was before, if not some improvement. That's what we should be expected to see, right? That's, in the short term. And then it should improve going forward after that then. As regards, look, obviously our biggest problem out there is always peak times. I mean, from 8:30 to 9:30, after 9:30, 10 o'clock, really and truly, the system everything seems to work fairly well out there, so it is very much confined to those peak hours. And look, like if you were to talk to people in general, if you've got an unnecessary journey that hour of the morning, don't be doing it. Obviously, you would have to say, there are necessary journeys, obviously, and everybody has to do what they're doing. But I mean, there's no point in turning up at those times, because that is obviously the peak times. When I go to Letterkenny, I try and obviously avoid peak times if you can, because it makes sense, for yourself. But obviously, look, we have to deal with those, and that's the whole point in the system, is to deal with those peak times. And I think within a week or two, we should be seeing some improvement. We'd hope to, and we need to see improvement, because we're not doing it just for the sake of doing it. And I know it does help pedestrians and all that across the road. That's not what we're doing for. We're hoping this will assist in those peak time journey times to ensure that you get out the light. And in fairness, just looking at, although we have some longer queues out there, we're trying to do it looking around our journey times, and we find that the journey times are actually fairly steady and not too bad. The queues are longer. It just means that people are being stopped. And then, rather than what we had was a steady stream previously, is that you're getting a fair enough run through the lights when it happens. So journey times will keep an eye on as well to see if that improves as well.
From what you've been able to observe, and your team has been able to observe so far, Damien, are you satisfied that this roundabout is big enough to accommodate the traffic lights layout, i.e. Traffic being stopped on the roundabout, because some people report lorries, their tail end blocking junctions and they can't move on green. Is the roundabout big enough for this traffic light configuration? Are you satisfied?
Yeah, no, for the traffic light configuration, the roundabout's big enough. Our biggest problem with maybe the scale of the roundabout or the lanes coming into the roundabout is just those peak flows. So, for example, the Romenton roadside, an additional lane coming in there would obviously be much more beneficial. So that's the sort of thing we said. As regards the general layout of the roundabout, look, bigger will be better. Look, if a signalised junction rather than a roundabout would be better, we get more lanes in. But no, I mean, first of all, we have no real scope to manoeuvre with the scale of the roundabout. But certainly, as regards the lanes coming in, that's something we'll have to look at going forward, probably. I know that was as a long-term thing in the Letterkenny Traffic and Transport Plan as regards some filter lanes off the roundabout to take those peak flows. Again, they involve CPO. There's no quick or simple solution to those either. So that's something that we'll look at as well going forward. But obviously, our key thing is to maybe trying to get the bypass done and trying to get the traffic flows equalised around the town rather than all coming down one road.
Yeah. We'll talk about maybe the plans and when we might see some of that, some of its crystal ball stuff, even for someone in your position, Damien, because we are, we are reliant on central government funding and what have you. But anyway, a lot of people are concerned. I share the concern as well with this new road layout. It doesn't seem, the 4 lanes into Letterkenny and out, particularly into Letterkenny, it doesn't seem to have been designed with any plan to deal with emergency vehicles. Many people have found themselves sat on the 4 lanes, just nowhere to go, the 2 lanes in, a siren's blaring behind them, people pulling out onto the roundabout on red to try and let the emergency vehicles through. Is it unusual or is it normal for a road to be designed in such a way that for a lot of the time there's a lot of traffic on it and there's no way for an emergency vehicle to get through?
Yeah, well, look, when we designed the road at the start, I mean, that was all taken into consideration, and there was consultation on that in respect to emergency vehicles. Realistically, vehicles get through. If you look at the rest of the town, where you have single lane traffic, you don't really have anywhere for vehicles to pull either. So it's the same situation all the time. Our problem here is traffic volumes rather than the design of the road. And if we try to design it for extra space and all that, it's not going to really help.
No, I understand that, but I mean, there are devices that have been installed, presumably to protect the cycle lane, which actually stops people being able to pull out of the way of an emergency vehicle. So some might say, well, it's putting the security of the cycle lane above the ability to move out of the way to let an emergency vehicle through. But that's common design. That's normal.
It is, and obviously you don't want to put the cyclist risk by leaving it open to the traffic either. So it's bad, but there are areas we can look again, but there are areas where the emergency vehicles can pull in. There's a counterflow system available as well if necessary in the case of emergencies. That's all been looked at as regards how it will be dealt with. I think, basically, no matter what we do with the road there, with the traffic bounds we have, emergency services are going to struggle at a busy time in Letterkenny. I mean, even if they get past the 4-lane road, they try and go up towards the Creamery roundabout, there's no room for manoeuvre there either on any of those roads. So, I mean, I think in fairness, it's not an issue just for the 4-lane road. It's just a general issue with regards to traffic in Letterkenny.
All right. Where else are traffic lights going in and when?
Well, the next phase really was from the Polestar then towards the Creamery roundabout, where we're moving both the Ballyrain roundabout and the Creamery roundabout, and they're being replaced by signalised junctions.
What's a signalised junction? Sorry, Damien, pardon my ignorance. A signalised, is that?
Signalised. I think, traffic light junction.
Okay, right, I get you. Okay, yeah. So that's at is that at the Romelton Road as well? Sorry, I'm terrible on names of roundabouts.
That's right. Ballyrain is where Ballyrain School, where the colleges, residences are there. Where there's a strange arrangement of a right turning in there, which is not ideal at the moment. So hopefully it'll improve that, and improve stacking then along that road as well. Hopefully we'll be able to get more lanes in along the road, as regards we'll be able to reallocate lanes when we have lights. And then obviously the Creamery roundabout is a very small roundabout. I think people find that very difficult anyway at the best time. Again, big volumes of traffic, it's going to be difficult. Hopefully it'll probably just maybe stagger queues as we go out. But that's part of it. Coming into town, then there are other new lights coming in from the town, then up at Knocknamone and stuff like that as well, that are part of the overall plan. I'm not familiar. I only do national roads, so I can really tell you about the national roads.
No, that's okay. I understand that. Obviously, as you said, these are all, I mean, they're a bit more than stopgap measures, don't get me wrong, but really in the wider context, it's about improving the road infrastructure around Letterkenny, into Letterkenny, bridges. What is the status of all of that? What's the plans and what's the timeframes as far as you've been told?
Well, just as regards why it's so key, we've got all the traffic coming into Letterkenny through one main lifeline route, basically. And I think, as you said to that, that's not tenable going forward for any town of any size. So, look, the 10T project covers a link from Dromore and Bunnigy across to the Creamy roundabout at that location. Okay, so basically it's trying to bypass the town, so all that traffic coming from Melton, which will cause so much problem at the moment, will be able to bypass around straight to the Dry Arch and away. And similarly, then there's also a separate project, then the Southern Relief Road project, which will go from the Dry Arch on the southern side, heading towards the Old Town direction. So that's another project that's happening as well, that's separate to ourselves. So on the 10T project, look, the business case has been done for that. Look, we've been working on that scheme for almost 7 years now. I think it's just about 7 years. It's way too long to work on any scheme. But that's the nature of the process for developing major road projects at the moment. The business case has gone to government. The business case, the cost-benefit analysis of the scheme shows that it's a very, very favourable scheme to develop. It's with the department. They go through their internal, themselves and DEPA go through an internal checking process of the scheme. It's all about value for money and such like, and they have to give us approval then to proceed to publishing the CPO and publishing the scheme and doing the statutory process to get planning for the scheme.
And do you have any, I mean, it's hard for you to say anything because then you could be held to it, but in your experience, do you have in your head any likely timeline?
Well, the way it would normally work, if we get approval to go to publish, we could expect an oral hearing within a year, okay? If, again, the key thing then is how we do if we got objections to the schemes, and judicial reviews and all that, you're talking about, we don't even know what the time would be on that. But if everything went fairly smoothly, you could be out of that you were talking about 2025. Really, and then you get into the procurement process, all about whether the government is willing to fund it then at that point in time, and if money is available to deliver the scheme at that point in time. So that's so you're talking about post 2025, you're probably 2026, 27 before you get construction going at the earliest. That's
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay. And just finally, back to the traffic lights, just a tone of the messages coming through, Damien. A lot of people in different areas of Letterkenny saying, look, we can't get out of our driveway now with traffic. The old town's much busier than it used to be. People still have concerns about emergency vehicle access, that it's more difficult now than it was before, even though we've spent an awful lot of money on this road. You are confident that traffic around Letterkenny, once these lights bed in, will be the same as it was previously, if not a little bit better, and you're suggesting that should happen within a fortnight?
Yeah. Well, first of all, look, the traffic lights at the roundabout will only deal with traffic at the roundabout. It's not going to deal with issues at Old Town, so I mean, I can't see how they're not going to affect it.
Because people are not using the 4 lanes; they're using other roads. They're they're coming in over Drumkeen, or they're turning left going down. Okay. Well, you know yourself how the traffic's ending up in the Old Town.
Fair enough. We would expect that the signalised junction at the post should work as efficiently as previously, if not better. So therefore, we'd expect an improvement. We're not doing this not to have an improvement. Okay. We'd expect an improvement.
When do the other lights go on the 4 lanes, and what impact might that have?
Well, no, on the 4 lane itself, we're probably going to leave those for the time being. There's pedestrian crossings there, really. We're going to leave them until we're well and truly bedded in with these other lights. So, look, we may do it before Christmas. We may leave them until after Christmas at this stage. Those on the 4 lane road now. The other scheme between that and the Creamy roundabout, that'll be happening. We're hoping construction-wise, probably end of next year.
Okay. Okay, Damien. Okay, thanks very much for that. We do appreciate you making yourself available. Take care. Damien McDermott, Senior Engineer with the Donegal National Roads Office. Lots of you messaging in. It's a biggie and a big issue, of course. We'll talk to those after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Get ready for the most wonderful time of the year at Sister Sarah's Letterkenny. Secure your preferred party night now with fantastic food and a festive atmosphere throughout December. Sister Sarah's, proud sponsors of today's show.
Every year, about 2,600 people in Ireland get bowel cancer. Bowel screening helps to reduce your risk of developing it. The age range for bowel screen is changing. If you're aged 59 to 69, register for a free bowel screen test kit. Once you've done the test at home, return it by free post and we'll test your sample. If you need follow-up tests, we'll let you know. Register today at bowelscreen.ie or free phone 1800 45 45 55 from the HSE.
Uno, dos, tres. A hain, a do, a tree. 1, 2, 3. The Arona, the Ateca and the Tarraco. 3 great SUVs from Seat. And when you order now, you can enjoy 3 years free tyre insurance and 3 years roadside assistance, plus 3 flexible payment options to purchase your new Seat. Visit seat.ie to discover even more of our fantastic offers. Great things come in threes at DMG Motors, Donegal Town. And while I have 3 seconds, allow me to say that yes, terms and conditions apply.
Are you tired of waiting for treatment or surgery? Did you know you can receive immediate treatment across the border under the new NI planned healthcare scheme at potentially no cost? Donegal patients are still being treated with us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest post-Brexit. The process is easy and our dedicated team will help guide you through it. So why wait? Contact us today to find out how you can skip the waiting lists and receive treatment in Northern Ireland. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com, because life matters.
Do you want the very best for your pet? At Gary's Pet World Letterkenny, we offer fantastic value on all your pet foods, accessories, grooming and pet care products. We cater for cats, dogs, rabbits, birds and fish, and open 7 days per week at Letterkenny Retail Park. Or you can browse and buy 24/7 at petworld.ie and we will deliver to your home. Treat your pet with a visit to Gary's Pet World. It's what they deserve.
With only a few paydays to go until Christmas, discover a new way of shopping this year at McElhenny's. The McElhenny's Layaway Club is perfect if you want to pay in for your favourite products or gifts. Available in-store and over the phone. Spread the cost of Christmas with McElhenny's.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Right, so I got contacted by a number of parents who were concerned about what they perceived to be clusters of cases of influenza A affecting children, a number of children hospitalised. Now, obviously, I don't know what that means or if it's just, as I say, those motivated contacting me doing so, or if it's reflective of something that's going out on the community. So we decided to contact Dr. Anthony Breslin, who's a consultant on public health with the HSE, just to get some clarity on this. Good morning, Anthony. Thanks so much for helping us. And
good morning, Greg.
Presumably, hopefully, maybe putting some minds at ease. Okay, so influenza A, what is it? And how does it vary from, a regular cold or a flu?
Well, influenza A is the name given to one of the main circulating types of influenza we have at the moment. We have influenza Bs as well. They're the main ones we see in this part of the world. And there are various different subtypes below that. And the vaccine is modified each year to try and cover the types of influenza A and B we have. Influenza is different from your sort of mild viral infection in that you get more ill. You have it. It's not just a runny nose. You keep on going. It does knock you for 6, and if you have it bad, you won't pass the €50 test. That there's €50 on the ground in front of you. You won't get out of bed to get it. And at the moment, we start monitoring. We monitor for influenza all throughout the year, but we really step it up during September. And at the moment, nationally and even locally, we're not seeing big numbers. We're seeing the usual small starters we usually see. I suppose we're usually expect an upsurge around Christmas or after the New Year. Having said that, you do get occasions where in a situation in a building, in an organisation, you might get an upsurge of influenza due to people being together. And I think what you're alluding to has happened in this premise. I'm not going to say too much about it. I don't get into personal information. But thankfully, we haven't seen, we've only seen a very, very small number of people hospitalised. And when they have been, it's been just overnight. And we have been in contact with the school involved, and they've been doing everything as they should have been doing. They sought advice early on. They've been advising parents to keep their children who have severe symptoms to stay at home for a number of days until they're well enough to come back for by 48 hours. And we're not saying stuffy nose, runny nose, a bit of a sneeze. That happens, but when a kid really has more severe symptoms, to stay away.
Yeah, and there's no protocol as such in place for action beyond that, is there? So in other words, whether it's a school or an office or anything like that, there's no protocol in place for saying, right, we'll shut for a day or two or whatever like that. It is a case of if people are symptomatic, to stay at home.
Terribly severe. We would hope that either we would have contacted the school or the workplace, or they would have contacted us, and we might have to take further action. But we, touch wood, haven't really had to close down a school because of influenza.
Sorry, I beg your pardon, Anthony, go ahead.
But I just think what I was going to say is that there is a flu vaccine out there for children aged 2 to 12, which is free, and the uptake so far is very, very low. So we're just take the opportunity to encourage people to get the flu vaccine in the children. They don't get an injection; they just inhale it up their nose, and it's a very effective vaccine in that age group.
All right, and where's that available if anyone's listening and
from
saying,
your GP or from your pharmacist?
Right, okay. And it's a nasal. And is
nasal,
there?
Yeah.
Can it cause any minor illness soon after taking it, or just for any?
No. Okay. Usually it doesn't. It does not.
Right, okay.
Not. It's unlike an injection where you might get a little local reaction because you're actually sticking a needle to someone's arm. This doesn't.
All right, and the uptake on that, as you say, is low. Presumably, and this all sounds a little bit familiar, but we'll stick with the influenza for now. Presumably, this also would limit the risk of a child catching it at school and bringing it home, for an example, to someone who might be vulnerable.
Totally. So you stop bringing it home to siblings, your parents, grandparents, etc. Anybody with an at-risk situation as well. It doesn't benefit just the child themselves; it benefits others.
Yeah, okay. So, again, just as I'm speaking to you, parents saying it's particularly bad in this particular school, why is the school not closed? It's just not it's not the process that's employed to deal with this.
No, because usually if we get the parents to follow the advice of the children out while they're ill, that usually controls the situation.
Yeah, okay. And nothing in particular. So, again, do you know the flu, the winter flu, Anthony, pardon my ignorance on this, is influenza A, that is that, and we're just talking about early cases? I know there's A, B, C and D. Can you just explain that to us so I have a better understanding of it going
usually
forward?
The majority of the flu types we see in this part of the world are A and B.
Right.
And as I said earlier on, there are subtypes of that, and as I said, that's what we try and change the vaccine to deal with those. Influenza is out there usually all the time now. We get these very, very occasional cases during the summer, but usually we don't. Usually we start seeing the very odd case in September, and then October we start seeing more cases, and that's when nationally we sort of step up our surveillance. So, for instance, if we get a case of influenza in an elderly person, we'll make contact with them, check have they been vaccinated, anybody else ill, are they living at home, are they in a nursing home, whatever, because obviously we want to assess the risk for others. If they were in a nursing home, has everybody else there been vaccinated? Are there more people there who are ill but haven't been tested? Do we need to give them antivirals, etc.? That's the sort of approach we take there. If a child is admitted to hospital, even if it's overnight, we assess that to see are they a healthy child, are Are they in an at-risk group? Have they been vaccinated? Are they in a special school or whatever?
Yeah.
And obviously, at the moment, because of our refugee situation, we would pay particular attention to someone living in a Congress settings, because that's not a normal household setting, and we don't want influenza running through those type of buildings.
All right.
That population either.
Thanks very much for your time this morning, Anthony. I really do appreciate it. Take care. Dr. Anthony Breslin there, consultant in public health with the HSC, and that's just in response to a number of contacts I had from concerned parents, and just wanted to reference that. It might not be exactly the answer that you're looking for, but that is the way it is. Right, okay. Yesterday, we revealed to you that there are concerns over dermatology services at Letterkenny University Hospital. It's following the retirement this week of Dr. Podmore. Sligo University Hospital now will be expected to pick up the slack, but its consultant Dr. Dermot McKenna has written to Donegal GPs this week. He's not happy, and understandably, I suppose you could say, if you read through some of the letter. He says the hospital manager in Letterkenny did not think it worthwhile to let him know. He found out indirectly. He's had no contact despite new patient referrals being redirected to him. He said delivering a dermatological service, delivering a dermatology service to the Northwest is Cialta's responsibility, not his. Delayed diagnosis impacting melanoma survival, which is a serious cancer, acne in teenagers, eczema, psoriasis, patients' lives destroyed, he said, because of an inability to gain access to care rests on management's shoulders. He says for years dermatology in the Northwest has been ignored, neglecting, and quite frankly, he says, dismantled by management both locally and by Cialta centrally, whereas there's been significant expansion in other regions. So some of the concerns he has: less nursing hours now than when he started 20 years ago. He's lost half of his secretarial office space. He can't get adequate secretarial support and can't even get an examination light installed to examine patients properly. He's been looking for that for 2 years, an examination light. Can you imagine? He works alone with thousands of patients awaiting their first appointment. There's a wait time of over 4 years, 4,000 patients in total. Only urgent cases are coming off that patient list, meaning obviously recruitment into the region is very difficult. He says it's simply not possible for him to absorb Dr. Podmore's patients, adding what's happening to dermatology in LUH today will soon be dermatology in Sligo University Hospital tomorrow. And he says Galway University Hospital may end up with the entire caseload. Now, I can't read between the lines, but how much longer would he stick that out? And then I was told that there are already people who were getting dermatology services in Sligo University Hospital. They're now being referred to Roscommon Hospital, if you don't mind. Right, okay. The model for dermatology care in the Northwest, this is a statement from the HSE. The model for dermatology care in the Northwest has always been a service based from Sligo University Hospital, and this remains the case, which might be news to that consultant. Historically, this service was supplemented by a consultant from Northern Ireland who ran a weekly clinic in Letterkenny funded by Letterkenny University Hospital. Regrettably, this consultant is no longer in a position to continue running this clinic. Cialta has secured funding for 2 new consultant dermatology posts for the Northwest, and Letterkenny University Hospital Management have identified a requirement that the appointment of these posts would deliver 2 clinics per week in Letterkenny. Recruitment for these posts is currently underway, but as we heard from the consultant in Sligo, given the state of affairs, that recruitment process might be somewhat complicated. But that's it. Again, here we are. I presume, and I'm sure, there was notice given to the HSE of the imminent retirement of the consultant. I believe they stayed on actually longer than they were going to try and accommodate their patients, and yet still we're only now in the recruitment process. Some out there might feel that is unacceptable. We also had a response from the HSE as it relates to diabetes care at Letterkenny University Hospital. I don't have time for that right now. We'll get to that after the news at 10.
At Sister Sarah's Gastropub Letterkenny, let us look after your Christmas party needs this December with excellent food and entertainment in Letterkenny's premier venue, 91222238. Sister Sarah's, proud sponsors of today's show.
Santa's elves, listen up. If a kid's playhouse is on your little one's wish list this Christmas, Dealside Garden Furniture has you covered. Explore our range in various colours and sizes, including the Dreamy Barbie Dreamhouse Pink. Orders close on December 2nd. Find us on social media, Dealside Garden Furniture, or call 087 11 24 766.
Fuel to win €50,000 with Top. Plus, get chances to win €5,000 every month. Sign up at topoilwin.ie and fuel to win with Top.
The Mo is calling. For years, people around the world have been united by the power of the moustache. This Movember, unite to take on mental health, suicide, prostate and testicular cancers. Come together, grow together, raise funds, save lives. Change the face of men's health. Sign up at Movember.com.
If you've been the victim of a crime, it can sometimes feel like you've been left in the dark with nowhere to turn for answers or support. But help is always available, no matter who you are or what your background. Victimscharter.ie provides information on translation services, explains your rights, and offers the support you need when you need it most. You have rights, you have support, you have a voice. Find yours in the Victims Charter. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
It's just the way I am.
Massive Halloween bash with the Tumbling Paddies on Sunday, October 29th. Grab your tickets on Eventbrite now. That's the Tumbling Paddies at the Abbey Hotel. Not to be missed this Bank Holiday Sunday.
Halloween has arrived at McElhinney's, but this year there are no tricks, just treats. With up to 30% off across our departments, plus an extra sweet treat of 20% off occasion wear and mother of the bride dresses. If you've had your eye on an outfit for a special occasion or you'd like to get a head start on Christmas, now is the time to get those wish list items ticked off. Have a spectacular Halloween with offers on all your favourite brands at McElhinney's. Shop in-store or online now to save.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport, where you can now fly daily to London Heathrow with Aer Lingus and connect via Heathrow to over 80 destinations worldwide, including Boston, New York and more.
Okay, today we'll bring sunny spells and widespread showers. Some of the showers will be heavy and there is a chance of isolated thunderstorms in the late evening, which may cause spot flooding. Temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees. I find other than the temperature, because then I have to worry about how much oil I might use, I really don't pay much attention to the weather in the autumn and winter, unless obviously it's extreme weather. I don't know if I'm on my own out there. Summer, can't get enough of the weather. Anyway, 086 60 25,000, flat out in the phone lines today with the topics we've been discussing, carrying those over into the next hour, as you can imagine, and we'll read loads of them out, all of them out, if we can get to them. And keep your calls coming into us, 07491 25,000, and don't forget your voice messages if you want them played out on air, 086 60 25,000. Okay, we are going to take a break now, and we're going to have the news and obituary notices for you. Stay where you are, though, because it's another busy couple of hours on the way.
'Tis almost the season to indulge. Secure your staff party or get-together at Sister Sarah's Letterkenny. Christmas party nights now available to book on 9122238. Sister Sarah's, our proud sponsors of today's show.
Easy Living Furniture's Oktoberfest sale has been extended but must end Sunday. Absolutely everything reduced, including sofas, dining, bedroom and mattresses. Final reductions for the last few days while stocks last. And remember, there's 0% interest-free finance available, so the decision is easy. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park. Oktoberfest sale must end Sunday.
Homeowners, it's time to unlock incredible savings on your energy bills. Efficient Renewables is here to reduce your energy consumption, say goodbye to skyrocketing costs and hello to renewable energy solutions. With no VAT on solar panels and the generous grants for both solar panels and heat pumps, see these innovative systems in action in our state-of-the-art showroom in Newton Cunningham today. Contact Efficient Renewables on 074 97 08320.
In our communities, we all look out for each other. If someone needs help, we lend a hand. When it comes to fire safety, we make sure our own homes are safe, but we should also look in on vulnerable or elderly neighbours to make sure they are safe too. It could save a life. Stop fire by testing smoke alarms regularly. Look for obvious dangers. And have an escape route planned. Keeping our communities safe. Learn more fire safety tips at fireireland.ie. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Join me, David James, on the Jive Time this Friday from the newly opened Water's Edge restaurant, Rathmullen. We will be there from 2:30pm with great music, fantastic giveaways, and maybe a little sample of the delicious food. That's this Friday, live from the Water's Edge restaurant, Rathmullen.
At Connect Hearing, our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for hearing tests and wax removal services at our Letterkenny clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. From now until the end of November, we are offering a free wax removal service for all those over 60 years of age. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. A man in his 50s has been killed in a road crash in County Sligo. He was on an e-scooter when it collided with a van on the L1303 at Riverstown at around 8:10 last night. The driver of the van, a man in his 30s, was taken to Sligo University Hospital for treatment on minor injuries. Gardaí are appealing for anyone with video or dashcam footage who was travelling on that road at Rusheen between 7:30 and 8:15 yesterday evening to contact them at Ballymote Garda Station. Well, last night's death means the same number of people have been killed on Irish roads so far in 2023 as the total number of lives lost for the entirety of 2022. 155 people have died in collisions, up 36 on the same time last year. It comes ahead of a high visibility road safety campaign for the October bank holiday weekend. Minister of State with special responsibilities for road safety, Jack Chambers, is urging road users to take care.
Bank holidays, there's high levels of activity, more people out and about and on our roads, and that's obviously the natural position for people going down the country for a break or going about within their local community. So we know that there's often increased number of collisions, more fatalities and higher risks for individuals. On Garda Síochána, and they're really focused this weekend on the lifesaver offences.
The Northern Irish Fire Service and PSNI are currently at Abercorn Square in Strabane responding to reports of a gas leak. Roads are closed and traffic management is in place. The public is being urged to avoid the area until further notice. Health officials are urging the public to consider all care options this October bank holiday weekend before presenting at Letterkenny University Hospital. It follows ongoing controversy of the emergency department. With more, here's Alex Riley.
LUH's emergency department has been the topic of discussion, with over 80 healthcare professionals writing to the Health Minister regarding concerns over timely access to care. A specialist ED team is to visit the hospital next week at Stephen Donnelly's request. The HSE is asking people to consider other methods of care, including their GPs, pharmacists and out-of-hours services before presenting at emergency departments. Out-of-hours GP services and no WDoc will be open from 6pm Friday, October 27th until 8am on Tuesday, October the 31st. As always, people who do require emergency care are encouraged to attend EDs where they will be prioritised. Bank holiday weekends can be a busy time for our hospitals and emergency services. This means that patients who attend EDs for routine and non-urgent treatment will experience very long waiting times over the coming weekend.
Ireland's EU Commissioner says people should be focusing more on the loss of human life in Israel and Gaza rather than Ursula von der Leyen's decision to visit the region. The President of the European Commission travelled to Israel earlier this month following an attack by Hamas which killed 1,400 people. She's faced criticism from EU countries, including President Michael D. Higgins, for not condemning Israel's military retaliation in Gaza. But Ireland's EU Commissioner Mairead McGuinness doesn't think Ms von der Leyen should be the focus of the story.
the President of the Commission, who has shown incredible leadership on very complex topics, felt that going to Israel to show solidarity was important. I know that when it comes to the reaction in Ireland, because I've talked to Irish people and I'm here frequently, there is a different nuance. And I think that Taoiseach reflected that. He spoke about a lack of balance. But again, this is not the story.
It looks like homeowners will be spared another interest rate hike. The European Central Bank has implemented 10 rate increases since July of last year as it attempts to curb inflation. However, today's monthly meeting of the bank's governing council, which is taking place in Athens, is likely to see the 4% rate retained. There's speculation the series of increases is now over and the bank may start cutting rates again towards the middle of next year. Business journalist Emmett Oliver says the ECB thinks they've done enough to control inflation.
Big meeting in Athens today. They normally meet in Frankfurt, the ECB, and we're expecting them to hold rates, so no increases. That's good for all our listeners who are on trackers and variables and so on, and even for those on fixed. They're obviously worried about inflation. They continue to be worried about it. They seem to think that they've done enough at the moment.
Looking to weather, today will bring sunny spells and widespread showers. Some of the showers will be heavy and there's a chance for isolated thunderstorms in the late evening which may cause spot flooding. Highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees in a light to moderate south to southwest wind. That's all for now. The next news update is at 11 o'clock. In the meantime, keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. From myself and the news team, good morning. The obituary notices this Thursday morning, October 26th. The death has taken place of James Doherty, Devlin Moore Carrigart. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning, going to the Church of St John the Baptist for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on the Meva Parish Church Facebook page. Family time from 10 o'clock tonight. The death has taken place of Mick Leach, Fortwell Apartments, Lower Main Street, Letterkenny, and formerly from Ballivor, County Meath. Remains are reposing at JJ McNamee's home at the Cottages, Drumkeen. Funeral from there this morning at 10:30, going to St Patrick's Church, Drumkeen for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass. Interment will be afterwards in Ballivor New Cemetery, County Meath tomorrow at approximately 1 o'clock. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice. The death has taken place of Paddy McLaughlin Davey, Lima Tudder Glengad. Paddy's remains are reposing at his home. Funeral Mass will take place this morning at 11 o'clock in St Patrick's Church, Ahaclay, Malin, followed by burial in St Mary's Graveyard, Lag, Malin. Family flowers only. Donations, if desired, to the National Ambulance Service, care of any family member. The death has occurred of William Willie Bradley, 52, Dr. McGinley Villas, Letterkenny. Funeral Mass this morning at 11 o'clock in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, with burial afterwards in Newleck Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. Family flowers only. Donations, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of Con McDade Funeral Directors. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please visit highlandradio.com.
At Centra, shop smart and feel spooky for the long weekend with great offers. Like Centra Halloween Barnbrack 500 gram, half price now $1.65. Haribo Trick or Treat, Star Mix Multi-Pack, Cadbury Freddo and Fudge Family Treat Size, €2 each. Shop smart, feel good. Centra, live every day.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Good morning if you have just tuned in. And a big hello to all of the Highland Radio family on the way very shortly down to see the Lion King tonight in Dublin. Katie's going to look after you really well, I am told. She seemed to be packing loads of sweets and goodies. I don't know what they're for. But anyway, have a wonderful trip down to the Lion King tonight. It's sold out and loads of people are going to have loads of fun. And then back up tomorrow. Okay, I want to get to comments here now. Bingo numbers are on the way. It's jackpot day, of course. But just after 10, I catch up on some comments from the 9 to 10 hour. A caller says a yellow box at the Kiltoy roundabout is essential and a slip road onto the 4 lanes is needed. Another, the whole town is a disaster. The only solution, more bridges in and out. There's no avoiding it. Old town traffic is 5 times worse since these lights were turned on, which I referenced, so I hope you heard that. And you heard an update too on the potential time frame for some relief. I was outside the Mount Errigal last Friday morning heading to Ballabufey. A car stopped heading towards Milford and waited to cross to screw-fix traffic, instantly backed up to the roundabout. Then 2 cars passed on the right lane and stopped almost at the lights to push them into the left lane. Later that day, coming back, passing the Mount Errigal, heading to Milford, a car was on the opposite side in the bed shop, crossing all 3 lanes into the hotel. People are causing these delays as much as the lights. Well, at the moment, it's perfectly okay to pull in there, and if you pull out, you have to cross the traffic. But I presume I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a no right turn process there in the not too distant future. And those heading out the Remoten Road and going to those great businesses that you mentioned, having to go round that roundabout and turn in their left, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a measure that's introduced. An emergency situation is my concern when there is gridlock in and out of town. I share that concern, to be honest with you. Hi, Greg. Is he for real? The lights are a disaster. He talks about Remoten Road. It's so obvious they should have made a slip road onto the bridge rather than forcing all the traffic to the roundabout. That is something that is potentially going to be looked at. By the way, that was also referenced. And the bottom line is the direction of traffic is traffic lights on these junctions. He's confident that Damien is confident that the traffic will be equal to what it was once, or even better after a couple of weeks or in a week or so. How long is this excuse going to be used? We're just bedding in. Lights were never the solution in the first place, just added to the problem on the Remoten Road. Another, traffic has increased significantly in the Old Town area of the town since the traffic lights have been turned on. Switch off the lights, says another caller. Just in terms of, for you living in and around Letterkenny, talk to me, send in some messages or even chat to me about how conditions have changed around about where you are in the last couple of weeks, be it the Old Town or other areas of Letterkenny. Have you seen a big difference? How is it impacting on you? Greg, on Sunday morning, I drove out the Ballyrain Road, and when I got to the roundabout, the traffic was backed up on the roundabout and was backed up away past Sweeney Petrol Station. It took me over 5 minutes to get from the Ballyrain roundabout to the Polestar roundabout, and this was a Sunday. I wouldn't like to be on the same road at rush hour. The traffic lights have made the traffic slower since they have been switched on, and that's accepted at this point. Good morning, Greg. Please ask Damien, is road traffic management going to take responsibility if some dying patient and ambulance can't get brought in through the 2 lanes from the Dry Arch roundabout into the hospital and passes away stuck in traffic? Well, the answer to that is that that's traffic congestion that's causing that. Hi, Greg. Ask him, does he really believe that the lights are going to resolve the traffic rather than build a bridge? The man is talking gibberish. It's no wonder town traffic is a mess. His answer there, avoid the lights at peak times, is a joke. Well, he is of the opinion, I wouldn't say he's talking gibberish, by the way. People have a tough job in having to manage the traffic, and sometimes you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. The bottom line is he is of the belief at this point, and there are other things that can be done if it's not the case, that the traffic will return to the way it was or somewhat better. And there's no one in Donegal County Council or in the road service that if they could get the okay to start building bridges tomorrow, they wouldn't start building bridges tomorrow. Some of this stuff is within the gift of local people. Other stuff simply isn't. Greg, the roundabout is too small. Why can't there be a counterflow lane coming from Ballyrain going out the Port Bridge? It took me 45 minutes from the Glebe to Ballyrain roundabout last Friday at 3:30 p.m. How far back could that go out, that road, where it would be useful? But that also was something that was mentioned as a potential long-term plan. A big danger is that a lot more people are using back roads such as Windy Hole Road, which is very risky to pedestrians. Remedial work is urgently needed on these back roads before lives are lost. Is there no room at the Creamy area for emergency services? They can access the centre of the road. Has that man speaking on the radio a clue what's going on? That road is not one I'd be concerned about making way for an emergency vehicle, I'll be honest with you. How are emergency services meant to get through the 4-lane system, asks another. Too many people are in the wrong lane, either because they don't know how to use it or they're skipping queues. I see it every time I use the roundabouts in Letterkenny. Look at, those lanes were abused previously. You know, like say coming in Ramelton, someone would be in the right lane and would swing around and head out, or they would use the inside lane coming into Letterkenny and go straight. When really you certainly can't do that now. And it's the same coming down coming down Lurgy Brack. People use the right lane for Derry and they swing into Letterkenny. Causes huge problems. There's certainly driver behaviour adding to this. Also, too many people are in the wrong lane, says another. Is that guy ever aware that prior to these lights we had bad traffic congestion problems daily at peak times in Letterkenny? The only difference now is the congestion is bigger and earlier in the evenings. I find assessments and excuses laughable. Build the bloody bridge. But as I say, if Damien and his team could get working on that bridge tomorrow morning, they would. What about the lanes going from 2 into 3 right at the Polestar from the Derry side? Very confusing. What about the lanes going from 2 into 3 at the Polestar from the Derry side? Does it go into 3? I don't think it does. Maybe it does. As a veteran participant in traffic... I love it. As a veteran participant in traffic jams in London and now in Ballybofey and caught in the Letterkenny Polestar debacle yesterday, whoever designed these lights and how they are operating needs to be talking to. Plus, the concrete barrier should have been an emergency slipway or one that could alternate for use with traffic load. Good morning, Gregory. The new traffic light system in Letterkenny, perhaps if the old road markings were removed, especially those outside the hotel on the Ramelton Road, it might help as people going straight ahead towards Neil T. Blaney Road are directed by the markings onto the wrong lane for the lights. And last one just for now. Good morning. Good morning. Residents in Ashlawn are not happy with the increased traffic, taking a shortcut through the estate. The last 2 evenings, the road was blocked from Upper Ashlawn to Lower Ashlawn when we have the learner drivers and ones doing their tests coming in too. Hopefully we can get a meeting with the council to put an end to it. Okay, so that's it. I think our collective spleens for now have been vented. I'm sure there's more to come. Stay with us. We'll be back with more. But here's the bingo numbers. Good luck if you're playing today.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 26th of October, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €5,200 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S14. It's game number 43. The jackpot number is 20. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 40, 64, 87, 79, 52, 12, 90, 14, 36, and finally 62. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Derry. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Derry. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Creative Landscaping Works are the Donegal distributors of millboard cladding and decking. Thanks to its unique polymer resin construction, this decking and cladding doesn't deteriorate like natural wood and won't be beaten for durability. It also has superb slip resistance, even when wet, and every board is produced using recycled materials. Live life outside with millboard at Creative Landscaping Works, Lisnen and Letterkenny. See creativelandscapingworks.com.
Making my Halloween this year, and we went to McConaughey's and Ballybofey. I got everything I needed: my dress, tiara, bag and shoes. I had an amazing time with so many beautiful dresses, and Mum was able to pay a deposit for the perfect Korean dress For your clean day, go to McElhenney's Ballybuffet.
The Euro Millions Ireland Only raffle is back. This Friday, October 27th, one Euro Millions player in Ireland is guaranteed to win €1 million. Play Friday's Euro Millions for your chance to win.
The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly. Play for fun.
Prepare for the merriest time of the year at Sister Sarah's Letterkenny. Plan your unforgettable Christmas party now with fantastic food and festive fun this December. Sister Sarah's are proud sponsors of today's show.
Greg, can you mention that Planet Youth are having a variety concert to celebrate their 40th anniversary in the Bala Theatre, Ballybuffet today? It's at 8 p.m. Tickets can be obtained from the box office for €10 or by ringing the Bala Theatre on 9131840. All proceeds in aid of Planet Youth Cafe, Dunfield House, Ballybuffet. It will be a great night. Okay. A delegation from the EU Parliament will travel to Donegal on Monday to investigate the defective concrete block crisis. Following the 3-day fact-finding mission, a report will then be submitted to the EU Commission. We're joined by two guests to discuss this. Lisa Hone, Chair of the Mike Action Group. Good morning to you, Lisa. Thanks for taking the time out this morning.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's good to have you with us. And also Joe Morgan, homeowner and leading this meeting with the EU. Good morning to you, Joe.
Morning, Greg.
Right. The significance of this, Joe, I mean, there's an awful lot of strands going on, and I think we cover most of them in our various conversations. Obviously, there is the scheme itself, there's the support groups, there's the dealings with the banks, and there's the court cases and all that kind of stuff. And a very important part of all of this, too, is raising the issue and awareness in the EU. And this forms part of that, presumably.
Yeah, it does, Greg. I describe it as a very crucial interim milestone in terms of our ultimate objective, right? So what we're trying to do with this particular thread is influence the EU Commission, not the Parliament, the Commission, to open up discussion with the Irish government effectively and influence two things. One, market surveillance in this country, or the testing of quarries and concrete manufacturing processes to make sure that what we've seen over the last 15, 20 years comes to a stop, because it continues today. And then secondly, that there is some influence relative to the current remediation proposals that are on the table from the government. So in order to get there, in order to get the EU Commission to make a decision, it's not guaranteed, right? But there's an opportunity that it could happen, and that's good enough for me in terms of putting some effort into trying to make it happen. But in order to get there, the EU Commission, they put a few prerequisites in front of us. And briefly, one of those is, it's a question they ask us when we raise complaints with them. Have you engaged with the EU Parliament? Have you any previous engagement there? And we have, right? So back in 2021, we submitted 8 petitions to the EU Parliament. We subsequently went to Brussels. We presented to that committee. And this is, if you like, the highest escalation that the petty committee within the EU Parliament bring to the table. So that will put us in a really good stead in terms of ticking that box for the Commission relative to engagement with the Parliament. And that's why I say this is a crucial interim milestone. And the two other pieces of that the EU Commission look for is administrative or political engagement, right, in the member state, in this case Ireland, and we can speak to that with some volume. And I'm just going to say thank you to the concrete queen herself, Miss Debbie McCoy. She put together quite an extensive document which records all of the various engagement right back to the pyrite scandal in Leinster up to date to today. So we can attach that to the complaint, and that ticks that box, if you like, in terms of we have struggled and tried and continue to engage with our government to get this right, but we're not there yet. And then finally, Greg, the last piece they look for is, have you utilised the legal framework within the member state to progress your complaint? And again, there are two legal activities which we are speaking to. One is back in, I'm going to get this date wrong, I think it was 2013, maybe 2014, when a group of homeowners were putting a case together that ultimately failed because of lack of insurance with the said quarry. And then, as you'll be aware, there is a current court case in the High Court through Coleman Legal. So we're trying to address all of the asks of the EU Commission before we go to them, and this is a crucial piece of that.
Lisa, I don't think anyone really gets a full sense of the crisis people are dealing with and the impact on people unless they actually stand in front of a house that's affected by defective concrete. That's when you know the pictures, the videos, and what have you are all well and good, and they do get a point across. But until you stand there and you pick up some of this concrete and you're told there could be a bison slab sitting on it, or you're told that the chimney stack is sitting on it, you know, and I feel like we're going back right to the early parts of the conversation, but it does actually boil down to that. I think, you know, for those who haven't been in that position, their jaws will drop.
Yeah, I think that's true, Greg. And this is why it's so important that we've actually managed to get this delegation to come to Donegal to see what's happening on the ground for themselves. So they'll see those crumbling houses. They'll see the houses where you can put your hand in a gap in the wall. They'll see the distress of the homeowners. You know, they're going to be up close and personal with all of this. All the impact of that will be inescapable. And we hope that they will take that impact back to the Commission. They have the opportunity now to take all that learning back and put it in front of the Commission. And hopefully, as Joe says, that will prompt intervention, because we feel that we need intervention from the EU. The island as a member state has certain obligations, and we just feel that those are not being honoured at the moment. And that's evident in terms of historic, where we are now, but it's also evident in terms of what we believe is currently going on, and people are still being left unprotected. So this mission is really, really significant, and it is a real milestone to actually kind of trying to get to where we want to be.
What does that intervention look like, Joe, if it were to happen?
Yeah, good question, Greg. So following the mission, right? So when the EU Parliament delegation returned to Brussels, right, as Lisa alluded to, they will themselves create a report to the EU Commission, and I've been working with some of the people that are going to be meeting them, and despite being involved myself, Greg, hearing the individual stories of the people that are going to be speaking to them, it still gets you emotionally, right? There's some of the horror stories out there in terms of impact on families financially, because they have to take this burden on is crazy. But when we follow, sorry, to go back to your question, when the delegation go back, right, they'll submit the report. I'm going to be following that up with an EU complaint, which will trigger a 12-month window for the EU Commission. So they will look at the complaint, they look at the partner complaint that has gone in from Coleman Legal, and then they will look at this report that will be coming from the EU Parliament. Now, if they make a decision, we want to look at this and take it a little bit further, that triggers what they call a 1-year window. It's a 12-month window. At the end of that, there is a possibility that they would make a decision to go to the European Court of Justice, the ECJ, but it's highly unlikely. And to be frank with you, I think that's a bit of a pipe dream. But when we spoke to the EU Commission themselves back in May, myself, Lisa, Eileen, Paul Dunlop and Andrew Sleeman went over, what they explained to us was that 12-month window will be filled with political engagement with the member state government. And they have told us that 9 times out of 10, that political engagement is enough to effect change and ultimately bring any particular issue that needs addressed or change to a successful resolution. So that's what it looks like, Greg. And it's that political pressure that we're looking for from the Commission to make changes that will deliver 100% redress and make sure that the concrete manufacturing processes and procedures that are effective in this country today are overseen and they have quality attached to them.
Like, Lisa, if I were part of this EU delegation, I would say, wow, this is terrible. What have the manufacturers done about this? I would sort of ask the question, well, what about house insurance? Or I'd ask the question, the banks have a big stake in this. What are they doing? And I think they'll be shocked by those answers. I think they'll be shocked at the answers that really effectively homeowners have been hung out to dry on this.
Yeah, I mean, they walked off the pitch. They walked off the pitch years ago, and it is, through the sort of the dogged determination of homeowners that we're still trying to obviously get justice for those who are affected. What's good about this visit is that they are going to be exposed to every single angle of this, because this is layers and layers and layers of injury, injustice, people not honouring what they should do, people not being held to account, companies not being held to account, the state being negligent in its duties of regulation. It's every single aspect they are going to encounter on this visit. So it's going to be extremely comprehensive. No stone will be left unturned.
Yeah, and in relation to that, Joe, obviously there's going to be an awful lot of talk about the science of this. But if it wasn't for the science that has been gathered from the affected homeowners, it'd be a brief conversation, really, because if you were drawing the science from the state, what would you be able to present to them? We don't know if it's in the foundations. You know what I'm on about? Like, it's really quite impressive when you think about it, and depressive for some might feel as well, that the science that will be presented is the amazing work that's been done affected by this crisis.
Yeah, and I think the two issues are very, very entwined, Greg. The current IS 465 protocol was not based on science, right? It was I think observational, and I'm not even sure that they've done testing relative to coming up with the final decision that it was making. And here were the various different remedial options. But there is research ongoing at the minute, and it's commissioned, as I understand, by the government with a number of different bodies, including Dr. Lehman, Professor Paul Dunlop and co. I think there's a few of them engaged in the States as well. So we'll have to wait and see what comes out. But I think, there was a report by Petrolab within the last couple of weeks confirming that, there is a definite causation relative to the presence of pyrrhotite, and even more significant so than the presence of mica. But to the connection in terms of the lack of science where we're at today and what potentially will come, Greg, and in terms of what the EU are going to hear, we have people, and I'm thinking of one individual speaking to the delegation on Monday, who has remediated their home with an option 2-4 hybrid, so outer leaf and underpinning footings, right? And subsequent conversations that individual has had with financial institutions has confirmed that property is not mortgageable. So it hasn't been returned to a mortgageable state. Now, what that ultimately means is that there's a limitation there in terms of purchasers. They have to be cash buyers, and ultimately a significant discount off market valuation for that property. So it just goes to show the lack of joined-up thinking that has happened to date relative to the various different stakeholders. I
would wonder who would buy that house.
Exactly.
Honestly,
there you go.
Even if you were a cash buyer, if there was not another house left for sale in Ireland, maybe you would. But who would buy a house with the uncertainty about its future, even at half price?
And the head of the BPFA recently in the Oireachtas, or in one of the committees within Leinster House, made the statement himself that they would be looking for certification relative to making decisions on mortgaging properties that had been remediated. Now, as I understand it, engineers are going to certify the works that were done.
But people will want indemnity, not a certification. If I were buying that house, a cert saying this house is grand would not be enough for me. I would need some sort of a guarantee that if the internal leaf started to fail, then I would have compensation or access to a scheme. Just a cert to say the house is grand wouldn't be enough for me. I'm not sure it would be for any purchaser, to be honest with you. And I'm sure the mortgage companies might come up with different reasons to refuse a mortgage other than probably the one that they would be refusing it for, i.e. the house is unmortgageable. Lisa, if so that's more of a statement than a question, but anyway, if a member of this delegation says to you, well, you've got a scheme though. I was watching an interview on RTE, and the presenter said to the housing minister, says, you've sorted Donegal, they've got a scheme, and the housing minister nodded back and says, yes, indeed, on to the next issue. So what are you crying about? What would you say, how would you describe or frame the scheme for an MEP visiting Donegal?
Well, I think we all know about the scheme at this. I mean, effectively, it's just not fit for purpose. And, the example that Joe gave there is this gulf in reality in terms of what the bureaucrats, what the administrators have put together, and the reality of the life that homeowners have to lead. We have to engage with banks, insurance companies, etc. So, unless the scheme actually resolves that so that the people can actually do that in real life, then it is not fit for purpose. And that's just one example. They will be left. I mean, there are on Monday, speaking to the delegation, there will be myself, there will be reps from Clare, there will be reps from Mayo, and they will be left in no uncertainties. And the issues are across the board. It doesn't matter which county you're in. Everybody is coming up against the same roadblocks, the same issues with regard to finance, regard to science, etc. And the EU Commission the delegation will be left in no uncertain terms in terms of the unfit purpose of this scheme and how the government has tried to cobble together something, has not listened to homeowners. That is one of the fundamentals. Like, if they'd listened to homeowners, then we would have a scheme that was fit for purpose.
With some slight changes, this scheme could be opened up to so many more people. It still would not be perfect or not fit for purpose, but for some slight changes that actually wouldn't cost the state anything, it would be a much, there would be less to tinker with, which again is really quite remarkable. Lisa, thank you very much indeed. We're going to speak more about this obviously after, and we're going to hopefully get some of the delegation speaking to us afterwards to get a sense of what they feel the issues, how the issues they feel are being dealt with and what have you. For now, Lisa Holland, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks very much, Greg.
Take care of yourself. And Joe, as always, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate your time. And we'll touch base again after to see what they have to say. Take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Thanks, Greg.
Bye-bye. OK, Joe Morgan there, Lisa Hone, 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts to that number.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Looking for the perfect Christmas party venue? Join us at Sister Sarah's for a mouth-watering Christmas party menu. Now available to book on 91222238. Sister Sarah's, proud sponsors of today's show.
Mary here from the cosmetic department at McGee's Pharmacy to let you know that Lancome have a great beauty gift available this week. Buy 2 Lancome products, one of them to be skincare, and you will get a free 8-piece gift containing the full-size Galaxy Comfort Cleanser, Renerche Day and Eye Travel Size creams, and more iconic Lancome products. This is available until Saturday the 11th of November or while stocks last. Some T's and C's apply. Remember, for any skincare advice, you can always talk to Gemma or myself here at McGee's Pharmacy on Main Street, Letterkenny.
Could the department put a GPS tracker on your slurry spreader? For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal why officials are considering tracking farmers' movements. Major farm payments for over 100,000 farmers. We have the latest on falling ration prices and a new feed database. Why almost 1,500 beef farmers were removed from SCEP. All you need to know about new quad safety rules. And the most tax-efficient way to transfer your farm.
All inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal, on sale now.
Easy Living Furniture's Oktoberfest sale has been extended but must end Sunday. Absolutely everything reduced, including sofas, dining, bedroom and mattresses. Final reductions for the last few days while stocks last. And remember, there's 0% interest-free finance available, so the decision is easy. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park. Oktoberfest sale must end Sunday.
Promote your business 365 days of the year with a personalised calendar from BizPrint in Letterkenny. Order yours today from BizPrint the Printers, Port Road, Letterkenny. See bizprint.ie.
Milford Tiles, Wood Flooring and Bathware, Milford Retail Park. Now stocking Chronospan high quality laminate flooring. AC4 rated with a 20-year guarantee. 8mm $9.99 to $10.99 a square yard. 10mm $12.50 a square yard. 12mm $14.99 a square yard. High gloss $16.99 a square yard. In stock and ready to go. That's Milford Tiles. 083 091 0707.
Thanks. Oh, thanks a lot. Robert Mazel's Nashville Songbook is coming to Angrinan Theatre on November 8th. Let Robert take you on a musical and visual journey spanning 50 years of country music history. Tickets available from Venue Box Office or on greenon.com. Thanks a lot.
OK, phone lines are on fire today. Please keep your comments coming in. I will make time for them before the end of the programme. Right. A new group beginning in Buncrana at the end of next week called the S-Team. It's for children aged between 8 and 12 whose siblings have special or additional needs. There is a gap in the support for siblings and sometimes it can be very tough on them. Also, those behind it are hoping to help those who may need it through the group. We're joined by 2 guests now. Jacqueline Culligan, Sláinte Care Facilitator. Good morning to you, Jacqueline.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for joining us. And also Patricia Lee, Inishowen Development Partnership. Good morning to you.
Hi, Greg. Great to see you again. Thanks for having us on.
Right. So which of you wants to, and you too, sorry, I beg your pardon, which of you wants to sort of talk through the S-Team?
So if I just introduce
go ahead, Patricia,
maybe, and then Jacqueline, this is her passion. Inishowen Development Partnership leads on Sláinte Care healthy communities here in Inishowen. We manage a number of different programs around smoking cessation, healthy food made easy, social prescribing, and under the parenting strand, we've been supporting parents of children with additional needs. We roll out different parenting programs, and we also, through IDP, offer family support. So one of the needs that came up loud and clear from parents was that need to support and give space and place for brothers and sisters of the children who have additional needs, and that the parents felt that they needed as much respite as the parents did, and that, you know, a lot of respite investment is in the family, obviously, but that there was a real need there for the siblings. So Jacqueline has her own personal experience and her own story, and herself and one of our team, Alison Bardini, came together and developed Esteem, which is a beautiful name because it has connotations of building their esteem, but it's also around them being a team that can support each other.
And Jacqueline, as Patricia mentioned here, you were a perfect fit for this because you have your own personal understanding of it. And it's something that you're incredibly passionate about. So presumably you're delighted to see this getting off the ground.
I am, yeah. I mean, like Patricia just said, there is a big need for it. I did a little bit of research to see if there was anything available within Inishowen, and there isn't. There are similar programs that are out through the whole of Ireland and worldwide, but nothing in Inishowen, and there is a big need. There's lots of children. We've got lots of schools in the Buncrana area alone that have special needs units, and they've all got siblings themselves. So just a wee safe space for them.
And how, I mean, everybody's different, okay? But how does it affect children if they have a sibling with a special or additional needs? You know, emotionally, and what emotions it triggers or how it makes them feel or can make them feel, sorry.
Yeah, well, most children are very resilient and, you know, adapt very quickly to family setup. But there's times when life is busy for every family, but when you've got additional needs or special needs in the mix of a family dynamic, sometimes, and then this is not intentional by any parents, but sometimes the children that don't have additional needs kind of be left to kind of get on with their daily life.
Well, in relation to that, Jacqueline, I've heard that from so many parents. They do struggle with it. You know, how do I make time for the other children in the house? Because it's almost impossible, because often a child with additional or special needs requires so much attention, or even leaving the house is tailored more around their needs. You do hear that really regularly from parents with multiple children, that they feel really guilty, that they can't spread themselves around as much as they would like to.
Yeah, and their children pick up on that. And I mean, and this is not in any way me saying a bad thing to parents, but children pick up on that and they carry that emotion with them, and then themselves kind of become the carer for their parents' emotions, their children, their siblings' needs. You know, they carry that with them, and sometimes they might not want to voice that because they don't want to hurt their parents' feelings, because they might feel like they're putting down their parents' parenting skills, and they're not doing that at all. These children probably carry very big emotions, and the STEAM program is tailored for them, and it's a place for them to come and vent those emotions or share those emotions, and to find out that they're okay. These emotions are valid, and they're not the only ones that are feeling them. And it's okay to have these feelings. I mean, they won't have these feelings every day. It's like every sibling rivalry. There's days you can't stand your siblings because for whatever reason, but when you've got all this in the mix, it's nice to come somewhere and be able to say all this without being judged and without feeling guilty for having those feelings.
And Patricia, you know, and not to the exclusion of others, but Jacqueline's quite rightly been talking about how children might find themselves feeling now, but presumably as well, this is an opportunity to preempt those emotions as well, because we know it's there. You know what I mean? So in other words, it doesn't necessarily, I don't believe, have to be someone 8 to 12 who's already in that space, but you're coming to an age there where those emotions might start to develop. Isn't it great to maybe have the opportunity to be out in front of that?
Absolutely. I mean, the Sláinte Care investment in Inishowen is very much about early intervention and prevention where we can. And because this need has been very clearly identified by families, it's something that Sláinte Care has willingly decided to so this is a pilot initiative. As Jacqueline says, there are support groups out there for children with special needs and for their siblings through youth clubs and that, for sure, and youth focus. But this is going to be a space where they have an opportunity to share with others who are on a similar journey, and to learn different coping skills, but also, a space where it is their own space and they are their own individual. And I suppose Sláinte Care is allowing us to pilot this. We're going to evaluate it. We're going to ask the kids and the siblings and the families, is this something, how can we enhance it? But also our experiences in any of this group activity, they learn so much from each other. So if you make the space and you make it safe and you make it somewhere that they want to come to, most of the time it is the dynamic in the group themselves where they're learning from kids who might be a bit more further down the road in their journey, on the kind of pit stops to avoid or the flash points to avoid, but also they may be a support for those that are very early on in the journey.
Because a lot of people, we as adults at now, it takes a long time to build up emotional resilience or how to deal with things or, the things that life throw at you. The people we're talking about, 6 years ago, they were toddlers, in nappies, do you know what I mean? And there's an awful lot often for them to contend with in their short lives, especially when they see others around them whose situation is not quite similar to theirs. So as this is a pilot, Patricia, how often does it run? Where is it run? And who qualifies, or how do people apply? Is it limited in spaces, or what's the situation?
It's going to run for 9 weeks, and then starting on Friday, the 3rd of November. We're going to pilot it first in Buncrana, and we've been linking with Scolesagon and iCare with regard to identifying them. If it's a successful pilot, it would certainly be one we would make a case for, that we can have it in other parts of Inishowen. Carndonna, for example, in Spree Agus Sport have a respite group and a special club Spree for children with special needs. So there will be a number of opportunities to look at this. It will be once a week, and as Jacqueline says, it'll be that space on a Friday afternoon where they can come and have pizza, they can come and have a chat. They'll learn different skills like mindfulness, taking time out, pressing the pause button, but also a space where they're just going to have fun, they're going to be themselves. And all along, Jacqueline and Alison will work with them, so they'll have two very skilled co-facilitators out in the community that will support them and give them advice and guidance. And so this will be like a touchstone.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to Jacqueline about that. Jacqueline, how have you developed that in terms of, there are other spaces where children can get together and chat and what have you, but to sort of, support them or tease out any concerns or give them some coping strategies, like how we can't go into it all, but some of the key parts of this program that make it stand out specifically for this group of children.
Well, like Patricia said, we're going to be doing things like pizza making and arts and crafts, so that's fun space for them to come. But also within the program, we've got little activities that will ignite conversation or thought in relation to having siblings with additional needs. Like we've got an activity where we have a box with questions in it, and the questions picked out are specific about what life is like with a child with special needs, and it'll be like, how do you feel when you can't go somewhere? And it ignites a conversation, around all that. And hopefully it'll, like I said before, that it'll let the children know that they're not the only ones. And
I think this is, and in a way, I think this is going to be, it's not all children, of course, but this is going to be a relief for parents or guardians as well, because it can be difficult to talk about things at home as well sometimes. So it's, I think it's going to be really helpful for them as much as it will be for the children. So just, sorry, I didn't really, I couldn't pick up the answer, Patricia. If there's someone listening that goes, right, this could be very good for my child and I live in the Buncrana area, can they apply for a position, or have you gathered children for this already? Just clarify that for me, because I'm going to get the calls and I just want to be clear on the answer to give.
No, absolutely, Greg. It's not full yet, so we really appreciate this opportunity to give a shout out to parents. So if you have a child at home who is a brother or sister who has additional needs and they might benefit from being in a group and they're aged between 8 and 12, they just contact us directly. So Inishowen Development Partnership, as I say, is the host. They can email Alison at inishowen.ie, so that's ALISON at inishowen.ie, and we will go back to them and identify where. So the group will be held in Buncrana Youth and Community Centre, which is right in the town, so it's walkable within the town. They can also phone IDP at 074 9362218, and we'll put them on to the right people, and they'll be able to. And it's a very simple little expression of interest, and we'll go through the forms and everything when they join the group on the first day. But it is about coming to a group that you will feel comfortable in, and that you'll have lots of common features, but and there'll be scope to learn and share from each other.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. And I think that's Patricia Lee of Inishowen Development Partnership, and I think this is a quote from you, Jacqueline. I wouldn't change a single thing about my sister. I know most of these siblings would say the same, but they will have a lot of mixed feelings, and they need to be recognised, and this in turn will equip them with important skills as they move into adulthood. And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
That's it, Greg, and that's our aim, to have a safe space to come and talk, and to walk out them doors feeling like, yeah, I'm valid too, and I can do this.
And sometimes I get a bit frustrated, but I'm still a really good brother or sister and a good person.
Oh, absolutely. Exactly. But that's normal in any family.
Precisely.
Even as adults.
I know. But I think sometimes maybe they might, that's maybe when a guilt thing might come in as well, and it can be slightly different.
That's what we're going to equip them with, that they won't feel that, and it's normal. It's normal.
So I think it's a really good thing, and I hope it's a success. I'm sure with your involvement it will be, Jacqueline. Thank you so very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Greg, for having us on.
No
Thank
problem.
You.
Have a lovely day. Jacqueline Culligan, who is Centre Care Facilitator, and Patricia Lee, Inishowen Development Partnership.
Make your Christmas party unforgettable at Sister Sarah's this December. Book now for the best Christmas party in town. See Facebook for menu and dates. Sister Sarah's are proud sponsors of today's show.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to lower prices so you can make some monster savings. Like large Tesco pumpkins was €3.29, now €2.49. Selected Cadbury treat-sized chocolate sharing bags were €3.55, now €2. And Coke Zero and Diet Coke 24-pack was €18, now €10. Lower the cost of your shop with your Tesco Club Card or app. The power to lower prices. Tesco. Every little helps. Products subject to availability. Prices may vary in express stores.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Hi, Kate Appleby here. Just wanted to let you all know my exciting new autumn shoe collection is available nationwide in all good shoe stores. kateappleby.com. Hope you enjoy my shoes.
Renault. Exceed all your expectations. Renault Megane E-Tech 100% electric with 220 horsepower, up to 450 kilometres range, and an electric bonus. Renault will match the €3,500 government grant when you buy a new Megane E-Tech 100% electric. So save €7,000 on your new electric Megane today. Visit your local dealer to find out more. T's and C's apply. See Renault.ie.
Níl éon rud níos láidre ná an dáibh idir hiblíní, na cóchuimh ní ile sin na héadaí córínse, ardan córínse commartas árán orifíse, rudaí idir hiblíní tasat. Go dtí go near duine agaí gur féidir le go ná éilí ar bith fearas gás i Iesu, agus bristar an dáibh go jo. Bhí mar leag sa gás sin nach rá. Ní rá. Go má. Úsáid sútálaí gáisiúr chlórithe i gúnlaí, nó de tá gach rud a chur am mhail. Amsí sútálaí ag rgi.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport, where you can now fly daily to London Heathrow with Aer Lingus and connect via Heathrow to over 80 destinations worldwide, including Boston, New York and more.
Today, sunny spells, widespread showers. Some of the showers will be heavy, and there is a chance of isolated thunderstorms in the late evening, which may cause spot flooding. Temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees. Okay, we're going to go back to the issue of vaping. I'm not going to lie to you. I perhaps haven't hidden it very well, but I do find it very frustrating that we as adults, legislators, whatever it might be, aren't doing enough to protect young people who have never smoked, have never been exposed to nicotine, but we're exposing them to the addiction of vaping. And it's made very easy and sexy and attractive and cool to them, because if you go into a shop, you'll see the TikTok-shaped screen promoting these flavoured products in sexy packaging, or whatever it might be, whatever the correct word is in terms of appealing to younger people. And we're standing by as adults and allowing this to fester and to harm them and their development. Anne-Marie Regan is Froiga Area Manager in Galway. Good morning, Anne-Marie. Thanks for your time today.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's good to talk. Right, we, as adults, I suppose, have been talking to each other about the issue of vaping. Listen, there's a lot of people who use vape products to quit smoking. That's probably a different issue altogether. But, you know, you've been talking to young people about vaping and what their view on vaping is. What are the key findings from this research?
Thanks, Greg. And you know what, in your introduction there, you hit a lot of the key points in terms of what's been coming up. So Froiga, in partnership with the Northwest Regional Drug Task Force and the Mayo Sligo Leitrim Education Training Board, commissioned research to understand, I suppose, the impact that vaping products have on children and young people. And I suppose we wanted to hear directly from them what their experiences were and then what they thought should be done about it. So the research is titled What's the Panic with Vaping, and we're launching it later today in the Crib in Sligo Town at 4 o'clock with TD Frank Feehan. The research examined the habits and perceptions of children and young people in relation to vaping, I suppose within a range of contexts, including community-based youth groups, post-primary schools, and even with young people between 10 and 12 years of age. And we had almost 1,000 stakeholders participating. We did the research between January and May this year. So I suppose it indicated that across all ages, there was a link between the coolness and that identity with vaping and associated with it. It highlighted that 23% of the 10 to 12-year-olds surveyed were vaping, and 36% of 13 to 16-year-olds.
So over vaping. 1 in 3 13 to 16-year-olds, 16-year-olds, I beg your pardon, are currently vaping. Never had smoked before, but now they're inhaling nicotine and whatever else is in a vape.
Yeah, so the extent of it, I suppose, is certainly evident.
And just like one question.
It's almost snuck up on us.
Yeah, and in that 10 to 16 age group who are vaping and vaping regularly and feel the need to vape, do they have an understanding that they are addicted, that they have an addiction?
We have a youth drug and alcohol education and prevention project. We have staff in Sligo, Leitrim and Donegal. And within those projects, we have met young people who would be able to recognise that. And look, I think for a lot of young people, it's experimentation, it's fitting in with their peer group. And really, that's, I suppose, from our perspective, we're working with young people to try and help them develop a sense of themselves so that they make positive choices. And it's that ease of access and exactly what you talked about at the outset there, the packaging, the shininess, the novelness of it. Mm-hmm. And then there's confusion amongst young people in terms of, they spoke about, was this not something that's to help people quit smoking? But now it's something that we actually do.
Yeah, but if I put my mind in sort of that of a 13, 14, 15-year-old, whatever it might be, and everyone's different, you're coming to that stage where you want to, you want an identity, you want to be part of a group, you want to sort of maybe feel like you're a grown-up and you're an adult. And that was smoking at that stage, truth be told. Right, yeah. But now it is vaping. And we're kind of standing by and watching it happen. As I said in the preamble there, I really find it quite frustrating. And adults who want to get up now and get angry because they vape and they're saying you're trying to get rid of our vapes, listen, they're going to deal with that through prescription or something or whatever. This is about a product that's highly addictive, potentially a gateway to smoking, that is specifically actively targeted. There's people paid millions to target this at the group of young people that we're talking about, and to some extent we're standing by and watching it happen.
Absolutely, and young people come up with some very practical recommendations around it, and I know the research was carried out in Sligo Leitrim, but the experience can be reflected across many of the counties. Actually, I know they're in Donegal, the Donegal youth council operated by Feroiga. It's on their agenda, and they've already written to the minister.
Well, we've spoken to them.
Yeah, brilliant. So, and it's similar again, the team that they are looking to address. So in the research, they talked about the need for stricter regulation, the whole marketing piece, that exactly what you're saying, that it's colourful and it's easy to get to, so we need to address that, the pricing of it. And then some, I suppose, piece around the peer pressure, what you're talking about there, wanting to belong to groups, and that awareness and education piece, that young people can make positive choices for themselves.
Yeah, okay.
And that if there is addiction, that there are routes and supports to be able to manage that.
All right, Anne-Marie, thanks for your time today. I really do appreciate it. Anne-Marie Regan there, who's Feroiga Area Manager in Galway.
Get ready for the most wonderful time of the year at Sister Sarah's Letterkenny. Secure your preferred party night now with fantastic food and a festive atmosphere throughout December. Sister Sarah's, proud sponsors of today's show.
At AXA, we know running a home can run up your costs too. That's why you can save up to 30% on our home insurance. Get a quote today. Together, we've got this. AXA. Know you can. Policy terms and conditions apply. Minimum premium is €160. A 30% discount is available after 3 consecutive years claims free, 15% after 2 consecutive years, and 10% after 1 year claims free. AXA Insurance DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The Cope Dunloe Builders Providers Open Day is on today from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Call in store for exclusive discounts and giveaways. Meet industry professionals, explore innovative products and get expert advice. Don't miss this chance to enhance your projects and new builds. Join us at the Cope Builders Providers Dunloe today.
This Halloween half-term, there are ghastly goings-on across Northern Ireland with the National Trust. Enjoy an enchanting Hallows Eve at Castle Ward. Sink your finds into the new food fair at Florence Court's Harvest Festival of Colour. Tiptoe into the world of spooky trails and storytelling at Mount Stewart. And brave Finn's Frightful Fun Fest at the Giant's Causeway. With broomstick risks at Spring Hill and a monster market at Llewellyn Garden. Search National Trust NI.
As temperatures fall, so do Nissan's prices. The price of the Nissan Leaf has been reduced by €5,000. Plus, you can get a great finance deal for a limited time only. There has never been a better time to go electric. With a price drop of €5,000 and an unbeatable finance deal, the Nissan Leaf is Ireland's best value EV. To find out more, contact your local Nissan dealer or visit nissan.ie. Terms and conditions apply. Nissan. Innovation that excites.
The Letterkenny Halloween Fest is on Tuesday the 31st with spectacular fun for all the family. Dress up for the CDP's Fancy Dress competition and get on the trick-or-treat trail between 1 and 3. There's storytelling, a Halloween Fest parade down Main Street and so much more, all afternoon from 12:30. This Tuesday the 31st at the Letterkenny Halloween Fest. You dare not miss it. For more info, see Shop LK on Facebook.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it's 11 o'clock, time to get a news update. It's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A man in his 50s being killed in a road crash in County Sligo. He was on an e-scooter when it collided with a van on the L1303 at Riverstown at around 8:10 last night. The driver of the van, a man in his 30s, was taken to Sligo University Hospital for treatment on minor injuries. It means the total this year, 155 people have been killed on Irish roads. It's the same overall figure for 2022 and is up 36 on the same period last year. Health officials are urging the public to consider all care options this October bank holiday weekend before presenting at Letterkenny University Hospital Emergency Department. The ED has been the topic of discussion with over 80 healthcare professionals writing to the Health Minister regarding concerns over timely access to care. The HSE is asking people to consider other methods of care, including their GPs, pharmacists and out-of-hours services before presenting. Derry City and Strabane District ranked highest in the percentage of people who agreed that asylum seekers should be allowed to stay in Northern Ireland at 75%, while Fermanagh and Omagh both topped the percentage of those who felt indifferent at 23% and disagreed at 14%. The findings are from data that was recorded over 2021 and 2022 that was released today by the Executive Office. Israel says its warplanes have attacked more than 250 Hamas targets in Gaza in the past 24 hours. The country's tanks also briefly moved into northern Gaza overnight ahead of bigger planned ground offensive. Last night, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu insisted it was going ahead and claimed Hamas would be crushed. And finally, roads that were closed this morning are in the area around Abercorn Square as the Northern Irish Fire Service and PSI responded to reports of a gas leak. Officials say the roads are now reopened. Those are the latest headlines. So we'll be back again with the next update at 12 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Yep, indeed, you're correct. Okay. We'll be back with more after this short break.
Whether you're adventuring, salsa dancing, or you just popped out for some milk, you're not always home. With Unpost, that's not a problem. You can set up a safe spot for us to put your deliveries when you're not in, or rearrange delivery to your local post office. And if something's not right, you can quickly return it with a collection from your door or drop at your local post office. Online shopping, made easy with Unpost. Unpost, for your world.
Some of your comments here. Hi, Greg. Why does Ukraine not defend itself the same way as Israel? It can't. It doesn't have the weaponry Israel has. Since LUH became a university hospital, it went downhill fast because it's now a training hospital with young nurses, doctors, all trainees with very few qualified. Maybe we should change it back to a general hospital. I'm not really quite sure what the situation is there. Good morning, Greg. When have schools ever closed down because of influenza? People like Mr. Breslin, who have that listener asking for something as silly as closing a school because of flu, think that listener needs to lay off the boosters. There's a particular school where quite a number of young children have become quite ill with influenza A. It's spread within the school. A number of them have ended up in hospital. And a concerned parent wants to know if it's safe to send their child to school because it remains open. What's that got to do with boosters? That's a concerned parent who's looking for advice from a medical professional. I don't think it's an unfair question. They've been told that that's not policy. It can happen. This is influenza A, which is highly transmissible and leaves young people, as I say, hospitalised. If that's okay with you, that's fine. I was in Letterkenny yesterday when leaving via the Neil T. Blaney Road around 3:30. It took 25 minutes when we had the green light. The roundabout was blocked. I travelled the same route at the same day and time 2 weeks ago. No hassle. Hi, please share with your listeners. It's a warning to parents. So listen up to this. We haven't been able to verify this, but have verified it enough that we're happy enough to read it out. My 12-year-old was walking home from school on his own today. That was Wednesday at 4:45 p.m. He was at Hillcrest Nursing Home on Long Lane when a purple-blue Jeep stopped with him, opened the passenger door and asked him to give him something he had dropped. He ignored him and walked on. The man had sunglasses on, had a bald head and an English accent. When he told me, he was all in a fluster, but even he said, how could you just drop something from a car? Also said he turned in by Fairgreen. So if anyone else has heard of any potentially suspicious approaches in or around that area, please let us know. Roundabout at Mount Errigal is a disaster. From the Glentees area going to Derry for an appointment. The engineer has a lot to answer for and he's come on air to explain. Look at Sligo and how the lights work there. A caller says earlier in the year Rena Donaghy promised an ambulance for Buncrana in September. No sign of it. Is there an update? Well, we'll seek an update. And on it goes. We'll come back to more of those in a moment. Right, the EPA has called on Irish Water / Uisce Éireann to provide clear plans to prevent pollution at some of Ireland's most important water bodies. Its latest urban wastewater treatment report, the agency says less than half of wastewater here is treated to European standards, with huge issues recorded in Dublin and Cork, and I presume in a remarkable coincidence. Uisce Éireann yesterday released a press release in relation to the great progress they're making in terms of wastewater treatment. Halfway through this year in Donegal, there were 7 areas recorded discharging raw sewage because their public sewers were not connected to treatment plants. Those places are Burton Port, Coolitee, Falcarra, Kerrykill, Maville, Ramalton and Rathmullen. Now we know Maville, Ramalton and Rathmullen are coupled in a potential scheme down the line. David Shannon is an EPA inspector. He joins us now. Hi, David. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, how concerned are the EPA in relation to the plans, as much as you have them, from Uisce Éireann to address these issues?
Well, just to give you the overall picture here, now the EPA launched their annual report today on urban wastewater treatment, and we're finding that while there has been some improvements, there are still significant concerns. You know, we've got 26 areas across the country that are still discharging raw sewage. Now, this is down from 32 last year, so it's moving in the right direction, and Uisce Éireann is committed to resolving most of these by 2025, areas like Ramelton and Rathmullen. There's also 15 large towns and cities that are failing to meet European Union standards that were set to protect the environment. And collectively, these generate over half of all Ireland's wastewater, most of this coming from the treatment plant at Ringsend in Dublin. Now, there is plans to upgrade that plant, and that should be completed in 2025. So again, there is some improvements there. The EPA's big concern, I think, is that Uisce Éireann still doesn't have clear plans to prevent pollution at some of the most significantly impacted water bodies, you know, areas like Bridgend and Burnfoot. And so what the EPA is calling for is Uisce Éireann to use its next investment plan, which will go from 2025 to 2029, to carry out the improvements needed at these areas. And we are seeing some improvements, like this time last year we had 8 areas discharging raw sewage in Donegal. Kilcar was connected a while ago, and very recently, since the report was actually first written, Kerrykill has been connected, and we're expecting Burton Port to get treatment before the end of the year. So there is some improvements, but not at a fast enough pace, really.
Now, obviously, there are big-scale projects, which you mentioned, a 2029 a target. But in terms of some of this, the smaller projects that have that 2025 timeframe, are you looking for Uisce Éireann to speed that up or to make sure they stick to those targets?
I think it's a case of where Uisce Éireann has plans in place. So, say, Ramelton and Rathmullen, the examples. What we need to see is that they deliver those targets on time. You know, they have to go through a lot of statutory process to get a work to construction, and we need them to stick to those targets. The areas we're concerned about are some of the ones where wastewater is causing pollution to rivers. You know, areas like Kilmacrennan and Bridgend, and where Uisce Éireann has taken too long, really, to deliver the works needed at those areas. In fact, we were so concerned about Kilmacrennan that the EPA took a prosecution earlier this year to try and speed things up, and it is moving along now. So work is expected to start in Kilmacrennan in 2024 and be completed in 2026. So what we'd be calling for is Uisce Éireann to stick to these deadlines and meet them.
OK, listen, thank you very much for your time, David. That's David Shannon, EPA Inspector. OK, time for more of your comments here as we head towards a break. With regards to phones in the classroom, we weren't even allowed calculators. Yeah, that's what that's kind of the one element of it. And I was hoping someone maybe involved in the education system might be able to educate me. Why do we need legislation to keep phones out of classrooms? What's going on? Is it that the kids won't listen? I don't know. Anyone can give me an insight into it's probably a really simple answer, because as I say, I remember there was one fellow in class when I was in national school, and he had a calculator watch, and it was like, you can't wear that to school anymore. He wasn't actually allowed to wear the calculator. You know, remember the old watches, they had a calculator on? I'm not sure if they were any use. But that wasn't allowed at school. It wasn't that it wasn't allowed in the classroom. It wasn't allowed at school. And yet we're talking about the Education Minister introducing legislation to ban phones from classrooms. So, again, could someone fill in the blanks? Because I'm old, right? And I don't understand where we had this slippage where you weren't allowed at any time of the year, by the way, not just exams, to wear a calculator watch. And now we're talking about people not being allowed to take mini computers and communication devices into the classroom with me. If someone can sort of fill in that gap as to what's changed or why it requires legislation, I genuinely would be really appreciative of it. Hi, Greg. I was at the county final last Sunday. It was a great day out. The only downside is when you went to the toilet, there was no water in the taps to wash your hands. Every tap in the toilets were not working. I think this is a disgrace in the present day. Okay, wasn't aware of that. Hi, Greg. I live beside Joe. They're a great family. Absolutely heartbreaking to see the family home gone and them all in the mobile home. It's just a simple failure by government to all these families in that position. And indeed, we spoke to Joe and family and got an insight into how this is affecting the younger members of that family as well, just as that house was being tossed. If you bought a house and got the architect out to examine it and he passed it as sound and then you found out later it is mica, can you follow the architect? Well, you see, I presume you're talking about a visual. Inspection, and even now, to get onto the scheme, you might get an architect or an engineer out. They will only give a visual inspection, and they can give a point of view as to whether or not the house has defective concrete or not, and then you can forward that on to the council. Try and get on the scheme if they say they suspect it has, and then get your house bore tested. In terms of a visual inspection, if there was nothing visually to indicate at that time to the architect that it didn't have defective concrete, I'm not sure really what liability they might have in that regard. Now, if they bored it, sent the samples away and it came back and they said you're okay, and then it turned out, that would be a bigger issue. In terms of, I don't mean it's a huge issue if your house has got defective concrete, you know what I mean, don't you? Back to the roads. Greg, he hasn't got a clue what's going on in the ground. The Oakfield roundabout is another traffic disaster. Needs lights there too. It's a free-for-all when we have taxis parked on the Tesco roundabout. Also, another disappointed that they say they can manually fix it, but they are not willing to. I think they have to trust the technology on this because it might be it's clearly learning software. And if they interfere with it, it doesn't learn it correctly for the long haul. Roads, Eamon Ryan's going to be delighted with Letterkenny because people are going to abandon their cars because it's quicker to walk. Oh yeah, remember someone mentioned about pollution in Letterkenny and had it increased because of the traffic. It hasn't actually. There was 2 days this month where, and it's amazing how you can see the spikes. There was 2 days this month, whereas SPO peaked twice into the red zone where it was dangerous, and both was around about the time people were getting home and lighting their fires. It was after rush hour and everything. And I checked the temp on those 2 days, and there were 2 cold days. So it's amazing. We're all the same, aren't we? We go home, we light the fire, and I suppose in an urban area it affects. So obviously there are quite a few people still around Letterkenny that are using dirty coal in inverted commas because it has to be that. It couldn't be anything else. Traffic is past Lek Graveyard every morning now. We need a third bridge. Christmas is going to be a disaster, they say. I recall many years ago talking to a friend who worked as an EU bureaucrat in Brussels. When I mentioned that Letterkenny was the worst planned town in Ireland, he replied, "No, it's not. It's the worst planned town in Europe." Over a decade later, it seems nothing has changed. Letterkenny was for a long time the fastest growing town in Europe. Unfortunately, the infrastructure didn't really keep pace with that growth, it seems. Hi, Greg. Tell Damien Letterkenny's a complete disaster. They have destroyed the town with traffic lights. The amount of people that's staying out of the town is unbelievable. Businesses should be worried, Greg. But a few businesses have commented on posts on social media that I've put out there to sort of get a sense of what's going on. And I didn't... Outside of one business, I haven't really seen any criticism of the traffic in Letterkenny from any other businesses. Now, that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It just means I haven't seen it. But I can only think of one business that has actively said, look, this is really bad for the area. A couple of others have said, it's early days, let's wait and see. So I'm not sure if the business community is crying out. I haven't heard them. A massive problem with Letterkenny traffic is the roundabout on the Ramelton Road near Arena 7. Traffic is backed up to the golf club at peak times. Once you get past this roundabout, the rest of the journey isn't too bad. The fact that it is regulated means you will get through in a reasonable time. It took me 15 minutes from Arena 7 to the Polestar at peak time, which is a good improvement. But at Bank Holiday weekend, we'll decide how good or bad the new system is. Well, I won't, be honest with you. I'm going to have to rely on you guys to tell me, because my time is precious. And of course, that area that you're talking about, people also turn right thinking they're being clever up past Alcorns, scoot around and come down and meet you at that roundabout. So that means there's extra traffic on 1, 2, 3 roundabouts. Crazy stuff. Hi, Greg. Can you ask the people of Donegal what they think of the parish priest and the GEA club giving a reference to a person caught with drugs? Well, what is your views on people being given what's the word? It's not references. Is it references? I don't know what it's called. But you know, priests or GA clubs or whatever vouching for people. You see, it's very possible for people to lose their way a little as well, you know, or make poor decisions. I don't think we want to constantly write people off, do we, if they make a mistake? We have to allow people the opportunity to rehabilitate or to change their ways or learn the error of their ways. And perhaps maybe if a club or a priest or whatever it is sort of saying, look, at what that person did is horribly wrong and they probably deserve some punishment, but overall they're not a bad person. Is that wrong? Is that bad? Should it be banned only in certain cases? Let me know what you think. Have you thought about that much? 086 60 25,000. Re-phones in classes. Students are already a step ahead. They're using smartphones when told to put their phones away. Smart watches, is it that you mean? Because, of course, you can have your phone away and you can keep going on your watch. I absolutely hate the reliance of mobile phones at schools. My son is in first year and he is reliant on his phone. He can't simply write his homework in a homework diary and bring the phone home. He has to check everything on the phone. Times he doesn't understand or can't find the assigned homework. More pen and paper, and why are we paying hundreds for books they're barely using? I think even schools with iPads in, you still have to buy the book. So the book sits there and it's not used, and you have the iPad. If I'm not mistaken, I think, no, correct me if I'm wrong, but you still have to buy the books. They might not be used, but you buy the book and then you get the e-version as well, which seems a wee bit strange. Sorry for all the reading, but as I say, so many of you've texted in, and I think it's really important that we make sure that once we invite you to text, we read them out. So more on traffic coming in thick and fast. I'll go to John before we take the break. Hey, John.
How's it going, Greg? How are you?
All right. Good, John. We're talking about phones in schools. What's your take, or what's your situation?
Well, the school now that my sons and daughters go to there, and the teachers now never have the phones in their hands, because I've been in the school a few times myself, and, you know, there can't be one rule for the teachers and then a rule for the kids, you know?
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, very much so.
Right, so if we're going to ban them from the students, let's have a look at the teachers first.
Yeah. I will see the teachers can't be giving them work to do and then going on their phones.
Really? Does that go? Well, that's bad management, isn't it? That shouldn't be allowed to happen.
Well, it's happening, you know, and the kids is picking up on that, you see, and they're seeing this. And I suppose they have a point too, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I presume now, I presume it happens, but the idea that the teacher, whilst the students have been given some work, would be sitting on their phone seems, you know, doesn't seem right to me anyway.
I don't know, do they need them for the work, or they're giving them out to the kids or what, but I know there's Google Classroom and stuff like that, you know, the kids use their phone for, you know, the schools have integrated the phones with, you know, with school, you know, for these reasons, and kind of over COVID. Become a big thing.
But as well as that too, socially, you're like every parent, John, I'm sure, you're under pressure for the children to have their mobile phones and access to them. Yeah. If the teachers were on board as well, would you like to see phones banned from schools? Or do you think they're important for them to have with them?
Well, you have to look at it with kids with additional needs too. Yeah. There's kids there with additional needs, you know, and they have sensory issues, and you know, they need their phones to regulate, self-regulate and their stuff on their phones. You can see that kind of view of it too, you know.
Mm-hmm. All right, okay.
But,
well, John, in fairness,
you couldn't totally ban them. I don't think, you know, now the way things are and the way things have progressed with technology, and as I said, kids with additional needs with, you know, like dyslexia and dysgraphia and different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the phones are vital for them too.
Yeah.
And laptops.
Yeah, okay. All right, listen, John, thanks for your insight. Really appreciate it. Maria, are you there?
I am, yes, Greg. How are you?
Not too bad. Right, what do you think about phones in schools?
I agree that they should be banned. I just think with the whole bullying on social media at the minute, and kids are just addicted to the phones. They cannot leave the phones out of their hands at all. So I think, and kids are taking photos of teachers and other pupils and putting them up on Snapchat.
Right. And most times we don't see them either, do we? If the truth be told, we don't see most of probably what's going on social media.
Exactly.
Because we're not. They have the public one that they allow us on, right? And then they have the friends only one where everything else goes on. And to try and get onto that, well, you'd be trying to get money out of them would be easier. So they have ways around these things. And also to Marie, it's difficult, isn't it? If one student has a phone, well, then they're coming back saying, well, they have a phone. Why can't I have a phone in school? It has to be kind of a blanket ban for it to work, I think. Now, obviously, as John said, if technology is required for certain students with additional needs, of course, I don't think anyone would want that restricted. But the general use of phones, you would love to see an all-out ban. But why, Marie, do we need legislation for it? Can principals not say no phones in the classroom?
Well, I think a lot of principals probably don't want to do that because then there'll be a backlash from pupils and parents probably as well. So they need the legislation to back them up to make those decisions. So they may want to, but they don't want to be an outlier and have the backlash. That's a really good point. Never thought about that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you have a phone in school, Marie?
I didn't. No. It was mobile phones I'm too old really for they were just coming in at that stage. Right. But yeah, they weren't. Yeah, they were just coming in when I was last year or two at school.
Okay.
But yeah. So it wasn't. I'm too old. Yeah.
All right then. Thanks, Marie. Lovely to chat to you.
Okay, perfect. And you too, Greg.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I'm that old. We used to play with a stick and a wheel, just running around the play yard, banging the top of that stick as it went around. What did you do to entertain yourselves at school compared to now? First and second national and secondary school. It was a simpler time. It really, really was. I feel lucky that I was at school when I was at school because it was tough enough with, if you were a little bit different or what have you, in terms of, not being included or whatever it might be. I can only imagine how it must be when it's amplified and it's all the time and maybe, I've heard cases of students who say they went to the bathroom and they went differently, like they stood with their trousers lower down than you might say. They didn't use a zip, and pictures of stuff like that being taken and spread around. I've heard about cases that recently. If those phones weren't in the school, that wouldn't be allowed to happen, and you can only imagine the impact that has on a child and their family as well. So we have to do all we can to protect our young ones, don't we? Because we often talk about, and I get it and I agree, we often talk about the things that might be coming in terms of, sex ed or the dangers of, foreign people coming into Ireland and the danger it might pose to children. And I get that, right? But I just wish we'd pay more attention on the stuff now. Like, let's get angry and protest and get T-shirts printed up about the stuff now, the stuff that we're in control of. I think sometimes it's easier to talk about the threat of something than actually deal with what's going on the ground right now.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
At Sister Sarah's Gastropub Letterkenny, let us look after your Christmas party needs this December with excellent food and entertainment in Letterkenny's premier venue, 9122238. Sister Sarah's, proud sponsors of today's show.
This year, we're celebrating 30 years of the Kia Sportage. When it launched, it redefined its segment. The latest 30-year anniversary model features class-leading technology, dual 12-inch digital displays, leather seats, and distinctive Black Edition styling.
Visit Hearn Auto, Donegal Town for your 241 Kia. When you choose Chadwick's, you get the best branch network. Now get the best value with our autumn sale. BE pressure washer, only €429. DeWalt 18-volt XR Combi drill, now only €259. Ashfield & Co. architectural door handles, only €40 per set. Plus, lots more offers in-store across all departments. Shop online at chadwicks.ie or visit your local branch. Chadwick's.
Let's get it done!
Tinny's Toys, Ireland's largest farm toy superstore, isn't just about farm toys. We've loads of fun outdoor toys for kids, such as electric scooters, crazy carts, electric quads, jeeps, tractors, and so much more. Hassle-free parking at the door with no traffic jams. Our Christmas Club is now open too, and a wee deposit secures your item. Tinny's Toys, Leck Road, Letterkenny, or online at tinnystoys.com. Lay down.
It's the bank holiday at Super Value with great special offers on all the big brands you love, like Coca-Cola 20-pack cans only €10, exclusive to Real Rewards members only. Villa Maria Sauvignon Blanc 6-pack case deal only €50, and money off vouchers every week on the app too. So pop in for great savings in store or online this bank holiday at Super Value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Now is the time to experience the future with Connolly's Mercedes-Benz Sligo 2024 Donegal Motor Show, taking place at Canal Road, Letterkenny from the 24th to the 28th of October. Experience the full Mercedes-Benz range, including the CLA, C-Class, GLC and S-Class, and take a test drive in one of the Mercedes-Benz all-electric family. Drive into 2024 with your new Mercedes-Benz from Connolly Motor Group. For more information and to register, visit connellys.ie.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at
11:27. Hi, Sinead. Good morning to you.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing good, Sinead. Your daughter's an SNA, and we're talking about sort of, technology and mobile phone devices in schools. What have you learned from her?
Yeah, well, my daughter has an SNA.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Sorry, I misread that.
has access to an SNA. She's a physical need.
Understood.
Yes, so she is in first year, and obviously we had a transition meeting with the school prior to her starting. And I had asked if it was possible for her to have a pager, as opposed, to having somebody sitting on her shoulder the whole time that could be best used with another child with different needs, because I did anticipate that the needs wouldn't be constant. They might just be, every so often. But I was told by the school that the handiest way to deal with it is actually to use the mobile phone.
Right.
To contact if there was a need. And as a parent, I didn't really want that because you try to do everything you can to discourage the child from having a phone in school.
Yeah.
Now, I 100% get where the school are coming from, and the school's a phenomenal school. Phenomenal, and I really mean that. And they are the best advocates for every single one of their students. But I suppose it's difficult for them too, in that it's just so commonplace now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And Sinead, sorry, what would be an example? So your daughter would be in class, might feel they need a bit of assistance. Do they text the SNA or call them, or what's the interaction with the phone?
Well, the way is now, thank God, touch wood, there hasn't been a need for the SNA so far, that it would be just in extreme circumstances. But, where she would take ill suddenly, or, she's liable to temperature spikes quite rapidly, something like that. So we haven't needed that, but the SNA is actually in the class, but that's not just for this child, it's for others as well.
Yeah, okay.
So the school have everything covered, everything covered.
But you're saying that an alternative system that didn't employ a phone, especially if you sort of want, where you'd prefer if the phone wasn't in the school setup.
I would prefer 100%.
Yeah,
I just think they're toxic.
Just because something's easy doesn't make it better.
doesn't mean, just because something is the easiest way, it does not mean that it's the best way, or sometimes just, persevering and looking for something else is the best way. Sure, if we did everything that's easy in life, we'd never get anywhere.
We actually wouldn't, and we'd lose the ability to do anything as well. Things would be so easy.
It would be robotic.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it, as a parent with managing the mobile devices and access
it's tough.
to it.
Yeah, you know yourself with your boys. Obviously, they're in the other end of the teens and the early 20s. And obviously, you have a toddler, you have it all to come again.
Oh,
I have two teenage girls.
No, I'm only joking.
Yeah. Dumb book is nothing to learn. But look, you know all about it, what it's like. It's tough with kids and how cruel they can be to each other on phones. So anything that we can do to row back in it is well worth doing.
Yeah, for sure. And I just wonder if it's so advanced now that really there's going to be, this sounds like space stuff, but there's just going to be actually a further level of integration. However that might come, I don't know. But I just don't think this is a tide that can be turned back. But anyway, Sinead.
Yeah, that would be my fear. But look, I suppose it comes down to parent boundaries. You just have to set them for your children. I have limits on what they're allowed on their phone. I take them off them if they step out of line, because that's just, they have to understand there are boundaries. I don't allow them anywhere near dinner tables, stuff like that. Not that I'm perfect. Listen, we're all winging it.
How do you get them near the dinner table? That's a good question. Let alone
no.
I
grew up
them at the dinner table.
I grew up like the Waltons that always sat around the dinner table, come hell or high water, no matter what. And I just think it's a lovely tradition, and it should be sacrosanct, and that's it.
Okay. Listen, Sinead, lovely to chat to you. Take care of yourself. Okay. 086 60 25,000. A caller says, it really is time character references. That was the phrase I was looking for. It really is time character references for people we're done away with. Any family person with the right money can get these references, yet the poorer people have to face their crime and are treated as they should be. Yeah, interesting. If you're a drug dealer, if you're a drug dealer, you are an evil person and no one should give you a character reference. I presume the case you're referring to is a drug dealer. These people are a scourge on our young people in society. They deserve no leniency. Some drivers leave 2 to 3 car lengths in front of them in traffic in this town, lengthening traffic jams. That comes in from Daniel. Dear Greg, the traffic coming in Leck and Lismonaghan into the Old Town area is absolutely shocking this last few weeks. The bridge cannot tolerate the traffic and wait. That bridge is so old. Indeed, we talked about that in a different form in a previous show. Wasn't there a similar approach made to a young schoolboy in Strabane yesterday? The driver also in a Jeep, from what I can remember. Yes, indeed. And I didn't at that time want to link those for fear that I could be suggesting there's a link when maybe there isn't a link. But yes, there was a Jeep. I didn't get an age profile of the person in Letterkenny, and that Jeep was black. This other Jeep, a different colour. Right, okay, where am I? So many on traffic, so many on so many different issues. Thank you so much for it. I'd say we're over 1,000 texts so far this morning. Yeah, it's 2 lanes, then 3. 1 for going out past the council office, 2 for going up Port Road, and 3rd for past the Mount Ergo. Thank you. I use it every day. I'm always in the right lane. But, it's like if you, just a wee test for you, if you're wearing a watch, okay, this isn't a similar thing. If you're wearing a watch, okay, put your hand over your watch. Don't look at your watch now. Put your hand, now, if it's an analog watch, right, put your hand over the watch. Do not look at the watch before you put your hand on. No cheating. Right, now tell me, is it numbers or Roman numerals on your watch? Is it numbers or Roman numerals? Now, you look at your watch 10 times a day. Now, take your hand off your watch and have a look at your watch. Were you right? Were you sure? Remember, you look at it every single day. I got mine wrong. So, if you haven't done it yet, don't look at your watch. Put your hand over it and tell me, guess, is it numbers or Roman numerals the whole way round? Or is it just numbers at 3, 6, 9 and 12? Or maybe there's no numbers at all. Now look at your watch. Were you right? Let me know. 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call in 074 91 25,000.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
'Tis almost the season to indulge. Secure your staff party or get-together at Sister Sarah's Letterkenny. Christmas party nights now available to book on 9122238. Sister Sarah's, our proud sponsors of today's show.
From the morning routines to cosy family moments, Grant has been bringing comfort to homes for over 45 years. With our biofuel-compatible condensing boilers, heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home now and into the future. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.ie.
The life of a Charlie's chip is never dull. Once they're selected, they're off to Charlie's, where they lose the jacket, have a nice wash, and once they get into shape and get ready, out they go to meet the public, side by side with a nice burger, some fish or chicken. Enjoy Charlie's Chips to sit in or take away daily from 12 to 8 at Pierce Road, Letterkenny. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's.
If it's time to change your oven or hob, at Ben Swinney Euronics we have great value packages available right now, like the Zanussi oven and hob pack for just $4.99. We also have great value in double ovens, integrated fridge freezers, dishwashers and range cookers, with the delivery and installation service available. And we have great deals in kitchen appliances like air fryers, coffee machines, juicers and food mixers. Call in and see us at Ben Swinney Euronics in Letterkenny or Dunlow.
Beat your personal best with top brands and premium running footwear from Michael Murphy Sports in Letterkenny. There's new arrivals from Asics, New Balance, Brooks, Adidas and Under Armour in a range of structured and neutral styles. There's also free next day delivery on orders over €85 at michaelmurphysports.ie.
Go full Lidl and watch the savings come alive. Find wickedly good prices on Carlsberg 18 bottle packs worth €15, now $12.29. And sink your sweet tooth into our Mr. Choc range, like caramel chocolate bars from $1.19. Go on, have a Halloween without compromise. Go full Lidl today. Get the facts by Drinkaware, visit drinkaware.ie.
No matter who you're shopping for this Christmas, Michael Hinney's has the perfect gift. Whether it's a new coat for the man in your life, a timeless piece of jewellery for your significant other, a designer handbag for mum, or a cosmetics gift set for the beauty enthusiast in the family. Visit us in-store or shop online to find everything on their wish list this Christmas at Michael Hinney's.
All right, Europe Direct Letterkenny Soapbox Public Speaking Competition takes place this evening. This year's theme is focusing on the importance of voting and the fact that every vote counts. It's very important that each of us exercise our democratic right, some feel, when it comes to elections, regardless of our views of political persuasion. Fine Gael MEP Maria Walsh is back on the show with us again. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. I think, a lot of people, in terms of voting, Maria, I often look at who doesn't vote because I think those are the people that often feel disenfranchised, disinterested, disillusioned. And if they were motivated to vote, whether it be in Ireland, Britain, anywhere in Europe, politics could be completely different if we could sort of shift that apathy or disinterest or disillusionment. That's a massive group of people that could have a real big say in things.
Absolutely. And I agree with you, because when you look at the voter turnout in 2019 European elections, just under 50%. And for Midlands Northwest, which is Galway, Donegal, Mayo across to Louth, when you look at the Europeans, we were over the average in comparison to other constituencies, but we are still down. We're just over the 50% mark. So it's a long way from where I believe we should be at. And I take your point that how do we connect those that feel disconnected, frustrated, or angered? And for me, it's through conversations like we're going to have this evening in the Europe Direct Library in Letterkenny around Soapbox Awards, talking about voter turnout and what democracy means. And it's also showing to large and small community engagements, having town halls, regularly in contact, talking about, from my perspective, the European elections, and a lot of local and national politicians would do the same right across the political sphere. I think that disconnect is so important, particularly where you look at the world where it is now and ultimately where it has grown from.
Yeah, and it's connecting those people, and sometimes I think it's about people feeling that politics is working for them. They might not always like how it works, but that it is working for them. And often it is. So sometimes it's the perception that it's not, and sometimes, obviously, it's a reality. And the reason I say that is a lot of people don't get what Europe is voting people in, the impact it has on them, and I think that's reflected in the turnout. More people sort of get what the council does, and I think that's also reflected in the turnout, but it still leaves that big space of people that don't vote because they don't feel it does anything for them.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of layers of where I believe we can connect that disconnect. So when you look at what we're doing tonight in the Europe Direct Library in Letterkenny, so what we do know from right across the European Union, both at local, national and European level, we know that voter turnout among young people is often lower at your traditional politics elections, if you don't mind me saying. So referendums, very different. Ireland experienced marriage equality in 2015, repeal the 8th in 2018, and we saw waves of people coming from overseas, making sure they were showing up to the ballot. And local and European, because they're done on the same day, we'll have that. We should have the elections on June 7th of next year. It's incredibly important that we see that same enthusiasm. But to your point, people also have to see that they are seen, that they're heard, and that they're valued, and that to the topic of tonight, there's no such thing as a vote that doesn't matter. And President Barack Obama shared that before the last, I think it was the 2016 USA elections, and that is so incredibly important. And I think through politics and society in secondary schools, through events like tonight, through social media, when we're trying to educate and not polarize, I think plays its part too, and that people, while they understand, and I'm always first to say equality is so hard fought and very quickly lost, and the system of politics is sometimes frustratingly really slow. And as someone who's been in it 4 years, I'm like, first day of school, I'm going to change this and it's going to change tomorrow. And I quickly realised consensus, negotiation, compromise does take time. But ultimately, that's where we need to find a space that we can have honest conversations, debate, and then move with each other versus polarizing to moving apart that we see in many different other democratic or non-democratic
and listen, I think young people, certainly the next general election in this country, I think young people are going to decide it, and I think the parties that do the hardest work to appeal to the younger people and sort of get across that they represent them are going to be the most successful. That's the power of the youth vote, and just more young people need to realise that.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. And I just came from an event in Dublin City Centre called The Big Idea, and it was working with 6 classes from different schools across the country that were looking at climate crisis, mental health, hidden poverty, and democracy, and we're debating, discussing, and creating different solutions to worldwide problems. And when you have that enthusiasm, then that enthusiasm also needs to get met by political parties like my own Fine Gael. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think the next elections, both at local, European and general, are really, really fundamental in terms of where we go as a country, the most west periphery in the European Union, and ultimately that we're both, all of us are working towards a fairer society, and that we're working together on that, regardless of I think you see foreign policy and geopolitics at play here, so we need to make sure that people do feel like they're seen and heard, and ultimately that's why we need to get more people putting their hands up and getting involved, be it as a candidate or as a campaign manager, or just involved in knocking on doors and getting people to show up and make their voice heard and vote count.
Right, you're in Letterkenny this evening for the Europe Direct Letterkenny Soapbox Public Speaking Competition. A strong amount of people taking part in it. It's going to be really, really interesting. Talk to us a little bit more about tonight.
Yeah, so we have 2 categories, over 17 and under 17. They'll each have 3 minutes to propose their topic, and the theme is there's no such thing as a vote that doesn't matter. Again, President Obama shared that a couple of years ago before the 2016 presidential. And in today's turbulent times, it's so important than ever to build a better future by voting in the European elections. And again, in prep of the European elections next June 2024. And we'll hear from people, we'll hear the different arguments pro and against. And I think it would leave folks like yourself, who's on the judging panel, really, really hard to decide who wins in both of those categories, over 17 and under 17. So
yeah, I'm really
my
excited
question to you,
about
Mr. Hughes,
Yes.
is, are you going to be the Simon Cowell, or are you going to be a nice judge? That's the biggest question
Probably
I have
more
for
of
you.
more of a David Williams, if the truth be told. But Maria, I'm just looking forward to it. I have so much admiration for our young people. I love to speak to them and not about them, and I'm really looking forward to this evening. And we'll see you later, Maria, and thanks so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
All right, take care of yourself. All right, Maria Walsh there, Fine Gael MEP. That event tonight, the Soapbox Public Speaking Competition. Right, and I'm on one of the judging panel. It's just something I was asked to, and I thought, you know what, I want to go and listen to what young people have to say. So I said yes. Parish priests don't even know people they give reference for. One judge directed if a parish priest wished to give reference, it would be necessary for a priest to come in to open court and make their case. I thought this put an end to priests issuing references from the secrecy of their offices. Back to phones in the classroom. My son was allowed to go on his phone in class when he finished his work. That's not unusual. It's something I've heard about under my roof as well. Bronia, my child actually has to use her phone in class to do work in that class at school. It's an app. They had to download it. There you go. So it's not necessarily the young one saying, I'm sneaking my phone in. The phones are in there for a reason. Thanks for that. Bronia it's a lovely name. It's not something I've seen before that I can remember. I understand that teachers nowadays have their class notes and lesson plans on the laptops' phones, but I believe it's better for children to use their books in class and only use their phones when it's part of the classwork. But lots of schools have a tablet, or they have the Chromebooks that are in the classroom that are restricted in what young people can do on them and what have you. So we're not looking, I don't think, about removing technology, but bringing in your own technology that has your Snapchat, your TikTok and all signed into. That's different, isn't it? And on it goes. Have to take another break, then the weather, and we are joined by a guest on the line after these.
Prepare for the merriest time of the year at Sister Sarah's Letterkenny. Plan your unforgettable Christmas party now with fantastic food and festive fun this December. Sister Sarah's are proud sponsors of today's show.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonher Road, Donegal Town.
Make your next menswear choice at Watson Menswear Letterkenny. From suits to casual wear, there's big names to choose from like Andre, Tom Penn, Rima Zumo, Superdry, Penguin and Tommy Bow. If you're going to a special occasion or big event, get fitted in style at Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny, online at watsonmenswear.com or follow on social media for details of offers and new arrivals. The Christmas Club is also now open and a small deposit will secure any item.
At Centra, shop smart and feel spooky for the long weekend with great offers. Like Centra Halloween Barn Brack 500 gram, half price now $1.65. Haribo Trick or Treat, Star Mix Multi-Pack, Cadbury Freddo and Fudge Family Treat Size, €2 each. Shop smart, feel good. Centra, live every day.
Who's your man?
I don't know with the constant interruptions.
Wouldn't get them with Ireland's best broadband from Virgin Media.
I meant you. And it's gone.
We need Virgin Media super fast, reliable broadband. 500 meg now, just €35 a month for 12 months.
Can I upgrade you too?
Switch today at virginmedia.ie or call in store. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Terms and conditions apply. See virginmedia.ie. Subject to availability. Ireland's best broadband awarded by Umlaut. See virginmedia.ie/proof.
Hyundai's big offers continue at Hyundai dealerships nationwide. Test drive the 2024 Hyundai range, including the all-new Kona, Ireland's best-selling car, the Tucson, and winners of World Car of the Year, the Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6. Avail of the big selection of offers when you book your Hyundai 241 model. Hyundai, a class apart.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 91 22 600.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport, where you can now fly daily to London Heathrow with Aer Lingus and connect via Heathrow to over 80 destinations worldwide, including Boston, New York and more.
Radio, sunny spells, widespread showers. Some of those showers will be heavy. There is a chance of isolated thunderstorms in the late evening, which may cause spot flooding. Highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees in light to moderate south to southwest winds. Right, people incredibly exercised about traffic, particularly around Letterkenny. And let me say one more time, I'm sorry if you're down the county or across in the west or up in Inishowen, this feels irrelevant to you. But there's, as I say, 30-odd thousand cars travel into and through Letterkenny on a daily basis. So it's really a big story for them, for the county, when people are experiencing, long delays at times. Like, you think about it. Say, for instance, 10,000 cars coming in the Remelton Road, a delayed an hour. You multiply that, 30,000 hours divided by days, that's a lot of lost time across the county, isn't it? Right, okay. Mary T. Sweeney is an Aim2 rep in Donegal and local election candidate. You're standing in the council or the general election, Mary T? Sorry, just so I don't introduce you.
Let's just start with the council. We'll start with the council, Greg. Thank you very much.
And we'll rule nothing in or out, says the man. Okay. Your take, exactly, your take on the situation and dealing with congestion. Obviously, the long-term plan, Mary T's, and we heard from Damien earlier on, they want it, we want it, is the bridge, the famous bridge, and other measures. But I suppose we can only really talk for now in the short to medium term. What say you?
The thing that really struck me listening into the show this morning is that obviously everything is dependent on this bridge, which is now going to cost maybe somewhere in the region of maybe 20 to 30% more than it would have cost if they'd have got the bridge built initially 15, 20 years ago when they started talking about it. What I think is, from listening to the show, is we should look for the sitting councillors that negotiate with the big companies, that they could negotiate for a flexi hour with the schools and the large employers. The flexi hours for the schools, I was very fortunate. One of my kids went to St Columba's and they offered an excellent breakfast club where they could go in early from 8 o'clock in the morning, and there was a tea and coffee and toast facility there available, which took the pressure off parents and off the kids. Not just the kids doing exams and stress and people getting to work. It really sets you up. If you're late for work, it's really stressful. And I think everybody's undergoing enough stress at the moment that we need to get our elected representatives that have the contacts with the Optims and the hospitals and the ATU and all the regional schools. When I looked at the Donegal, the Letterkenny town plan, I was putting in a submission there maybe a month or 2 months ago. And one of the things I looked at, I asked the engineers at the open day, what have you done in relation to a feasibility study on the traffic flow around Letterkenny? And the new town plan, they said they were relying on old data. Now, they did take note of it seriously when I mentioned it to them, because I was quite concerned because of the high impact of traffic coming in over the Ram Road here and over Lismonaghan, all impeding on the Old Town Bridge to try and get into town. So that's the first thing we need to start with. We need to start with a traffic management plan to look to see what traffic is coming from where and, more importantly, going where. Because if we then can get the flexi hour in the places like the hospital, that staff can start, that have kids to drop off an hour earlier, that they're not going to lose an hour's pay, There are ways around this, and the people are brilliant out there that have ideas, great ideas, and they should be invited. The council, I would encourage the council to invite those ideas in, and maybe something constructive, because in the meantime, the stress on families and on the young ones going to school, especially if they're in exam years, or the ATE students.
But who's going to take the first step in that, though? But that being said, I'm sure there are businesses that their staff are turning up half an hour late on a daily, and maybe if they shifted the working day a little bit, it might accommodate the staff and get more productivity.
Well, that's why I'm calling it a town flexi hour. That if we had that flexi hour that give people the grace that they could notify their employer and say, listen, this morning it's a particularly bad day in traffic on a Monday morning, then, try and negotiate with the staff. And again, it's easier for teachers because they have what they call built-in flexi hours that they have to do additional teaching hours that can either be done at home or in school, or at least when I worked as a teacher, that's the way it worked. So the principal could negotiate that there's a few teachers in place to supervise in the breakfast club, which is what happens in other schools that I know of. And it's a win-win situation. It would take off the pressure just by getting somebody focused to sit and negotiate that,
Yeah, that report you're talking about, I think it's the Lills report from 2009. I'm not sure if that's the one that was being referenced.
For the traffic management.
Yeah.
It was quite old to be doing a new town plan, and I was quite alarmed by that. So I'd asked them for a new town traffic flow management.
I think that was back in 2009. I just can't see the total. I can't see the total cars it predicted, because we heard a figure earlier, 30,000, and it'd be interesting if that corresponded with that 2009 report. I'm going to check that in off air. All right.
I had pulled figures together for my submission, which was done, as you know, like when you're doing it on your own bat and your own time, so there's not much to be done. But I remember seeing the traffic, if you look at the employee status for the hospital, for Optum and for the ATU, which was surprisingly high. And the other most visual impact is to look at the physical size of the car parks. Follow the cars, see where the car parks are, and they're the biggest. Get the 6 biggest key, car parks in the morning, and they're the 6 businesses or schools to start with.
Yeah, indeed. No, car parks weren't built for the SUVs that are on the road at the moment. They're very narrow, but that's a completely different subject. Mary T, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate that. Mary T Sweeney, Ain't rep there, council election candidate as well. Yeah, I think when they were being lined out, the traffic, a lot of the car parks were for, saloon cars. SUVs everywhere now, and I just don't think they're wide enough. Is there many people listening that park regularly that haven't come back to a dint or a scrape on their car or their door? I don't know. Listen, such was the nature of today. We always enjoy huge reaction, and we really appreciate that. But today was something else. Loads and loads of you texting in, and we'll get to them tomorrow. We have a great Friday panel lined up for you tomorrow, so we're going to discuss the big issues of the week and the day between 9 and 10. Then we have That's Entertainment between 10 and 11 and 12. What's on between 10 and 11 tomorrow, Caroline? Is there anything particularly on? Just the usual good stuff. Just the usual good stuff. Right. Nothing too heavy between 10 and 11. Can we? No, it's just Friday. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Listen, thanks very much. Stay tuned. Ghost stories. Get your ghost stories into us. That's what it's Halloween on Tuesday, isn't it? Get your ghost stories into us. Oh, wait, there's some great ghost stories from around the place, down around Lahey, up around Downings. Any good ghost stories, please email them in to comments@highlandradio.com. I'll put something up on social media too to try and remind. I would love to hear ghost stories. It's Halloween. Please get them into us, and I can fill 10 to 11 tomorrow with ghosts. Right, John Bresson's coming up after 12. We're back with you tomorrow morning at 9.
Looking for the